This episode of Watch Out for Fireballs is brought to you by our patrons, specifically Dark Worm. Look out.
Here he comes.
Here he comes. You want to
Here they come. Yeah.
Here they come. Yeah. We're not sure about the Dark Worm. Loki Manderlin. There. And Dr. Mike Ridley Dash.
That's a killer name.
Crop. Thanks, everybody. We appreciate you. If you are hearing this and you'd like to join them, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Cuphead and his pal Mugman, they like to roll the dice. By chance they came upon a devil's game, and gosh, they paid the price.
I'm for about.
Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about Cuphead.
Cuphead.
Yeah, this is a run and gun shooter developed and published by MDHR Studios for the PC and contemporary systems in 2017.
We are not talking about Bugman. That horrible little...
The foul Mugman.
The foul Mugman. The foul little Luigiite.
The hated Mugman.
Yeah.
I like Mugman.
Oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
The more personality they have individually, I like them less. Well as people who listen to Adaptation Decay will find out. Yeah. This episode was executive produced by Ethan. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Pushing us, I think, a little bit out of our comfort zone in terms of this is a game, obviously, that got a lot of really high regard, but is balls difficult.
It is balls difficult. It's interesting. We're going to talk about the difficulty here. And this game is just, you probably know Cuphead. We'll explain the basic concept in case you don't, but it's largely a boss rush. So this episode is going to be kind of quick. Describing in detail boss phases. Is a little weird. Like there's only so many ways you can say like, okay, then he gets an attack that it travels for a little while and then explodes into an 8-way burst.
Right.
Like we can't describe stuff like that. That's silly, you know? So we're going to talk about how this game does difficulty. And I think it's not what I expected.
Right.
It to be. I ended up liking this a little bit more than I thought I would. It's not an all timer for me, but not for the reasons that I didn't think it would be.
Yes.
Little trailer for later in the episode. You can figure out that mystery.
Yeah.
You play as Cuphead or Mugman, and they are what they sound like. They battle through bosses in a surreal cartoon world. They have to save their souls after losing a big bet at the Devil's Casino.
Yeah, they like to roll the dice, and they're impulsive and all of that. And it's kind of impossible to get started talking about this without at least breaching the aesthetic. This is a gorgeous game.
Yeah, it's the main thing that it has.
Yes.
Going for it. It is there's a game underneath. It's not just, there's no shallowness to this in terms of that kind of thing. There's rigor and design and stuff, but it is about this aesthetic. And it came at like a kind of a good time here where this doesn't harken back to like old Disney. It harkens back to like weird pre-Disney and also Rans.
Yes.
Like in a world where animation feels really pretty sanitized. Like when I think about Disney, I don't think about the kind of weird, scary shit that happens.
Yeah.
In this was this weird, the Felix the Cat, Betty Boop days where like anything could be anything. They were really using the medium to free themselves
Yeah.
from reality.
As opposed to kind of like when Disney got huge, with like Snow White, where they were literally rotoscoping and trying to kind of mimic real life form and movement, and just kind of approaching photorealism, right? It's the EverQuest 2 and not the World of Warcraft, right?
And this game says it like emphatically fuck that.
Yes.
And then it's even going further than say like a Looney Tunes, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
every once in a while, somebody in Looney Tunes will get hit on the head and their eyes will turn to a slot machine, but their whole body doesn't turn to a slot machine. Like it doesn't, they're still pretty restrained.
Yeah.
No restraints is the idea of this art style.
Yes.
In its platonic form. There are also associations and stuff with this art style, which we'll talk about a little bit as well, that are worth thinking about. We're not saying you necessarily have to hand it to all the art that came from this. The thing that they're trying to harvest from this, the good part of it, is that weird, surreal, anything goes. Yes.
Yeah.
And success on that part. A huge joy of this game, a big driver to like get to new phases of bosses and see new bosses, is just to see what they're going to do.
Yeah. This is a game that is obsessed with novelty in a way that is kind of enchanting.
Yes. Novelty very specifically in terms of visuals. Like at a certain point you can kind of see the strings and be like, there are only so many projectile patterns that exist. And this game like kind of uses all of them. So at a certain point, like it's really cool that the birdhouse, its head gets replaced by a cartoon glove that shoots bullets out of its fingers. But then you're like, well, it's gameplay wise, it's not that different than like, a genie pulling out a sarcophagus that shoots out 3 swords in the same pattern.
Right.
It ends up being the same kind of thing. The novelty, the lack of novelty in play is kind of what sets me back on this game, even though the visuals were constantly showing me new cool stuff.
Yeah. And it gets down to something that I never say, but I have more fun watching this than playing this, if I am being honest with you.
Yeah. I can see that. Like it's a super fun game to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm probably there again, not just because of the frustration part, which again articulates in a different way than I thought it would.
Yeah. So let's get into that play and start talking about the way that complexity is added here. This is a run and gun shooter. Primarily, you're going up against these large, charismatic set piece bosses. That are it's a boss rush. You're picking and choosing from a handful at a time until you ultimately get to the end. And the play here is really reminiscent of Gunstar Heroes with a little bit of Metal Slug kind of thrown in.
It's like Gunstar Heroes with it's almost like a platformer shmup.
Yeah.
The shmup DNA is in that. Unlike Gunstar Heroes, which is not as punishing as this is a huge focus on dodging.
Yeah.
Like you do not want to be taking damage.
No.
If you're not taking damage, you're winning. Kind of regardless of how much damage you're doing.
Right.
It is a very defensive game in a weird way.
Yeah. Because you don't have an awful lot of hits to take.
You take almost nothing. Like you're very, very fragile. Like this. The bosses all have multiple phases, except for some mini bosses. And these will have entirely different movesets and different forms as well.
Yeah.
It kind of makes every boss a miniature boss rush in and of itself.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah. As far as your offensive movesets, you have your standard shot and you can switch between 2 of them. You buy them at from a really menacing guy.
Why is his voice like that?
Yeah. He sounds more like the devil than the devil does.
Yeah, way more like the devil.
Pork rind, what are you doing?
Yeah, I can't fuck with blood and honey over here. Like we steer clear of pork rind.
But these different shots have different trajectories, different behaviors, damages, things like that. And you can have 2 of them equipped at a time, which is kind of a big part of prepping for a boss fight. And we can talk about some of our favorites of these, also because of the super versions, like the special attacks you can use with your special meter there.
Yeah. The what's really telling to me about this having the shmup DNA
Mhm.
is the homing shot,
Yeah.
which explicitly I almost always had this. And it does low damage, but you don't have to aim.
Right.
So you can just hold down the button while you dodge
Mhm.
the whole time. Feels absolutely necessary for a lot of the bosses
Yeah.
to me, just by allowing me to focus on one thing.
Right.
And then the other thing I used a lot of was spread shot.
Mhm.
Just because if you can get close, which you can with a lot of bosses, you'll do a little bit more damage.
Yeah.
You
The only thing that kept me from having the seeking shot all the time was the fact that it wasn't auto fire. Like,
Yeah.
why wouldn't it be auto fire? Yeah, I don't know. But I it was between seeking shot and the roundabout.
Oh,
That
interesting.
that ended up being a huge one for me. Primarily because you didn't have to worry about facing when you were shooting, because its forward trajectory was enough of the width of the screen that you could generally hit whatever you were facing.
Mhm.
And if you were facing away, then, well, it would go further in that direction.
Yeah. It kind of removes one of the axes.
Yes.
I think it does a little bit more damage too. I'm not
Hmm.
certain.
Yeah,
Uh,
it does more
yeah,
damage
yeah.
than the seeking shot.
It definitely does more damage than the seeking shot. I
Hmm.
was thinking more than the standard because
Yeah,
it's got
yeah,
the unusual. The differences for the most part are a little marginal
yeah.
with that. Like I understand all the weapons are viable in this, but I
Hmm.
ended up having a hard time finding a use case
Yeah.
for several of them, like the lobber, like things
Hmm.
like that. Like I've seen speedrun tactics and stuff that
Yeah.
use it. So there probably is a thing.
Hmm.
But I couldn't figure it out. I basically spread shot and homing for almost the whole game.
Yeah.
The that 2-weapon thing is a Gunstar Heroes, thing. They don't combine in this,
Right.
but having that 2-weapon thing, and they each have a different super shot. So you
Hmm.
have like a little super meter that fills up as you do damage, and as you parry. We'll talk about parries a little bit later.
Hmm.
You can do the full super meter to do one of 3 big super arcs that you can get. Otherwise, you just do a special attack based on your weapon.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing too terribly complicated about that. I
Yes.
generally saved up for the super arts, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of depended,
Yeah.
for me. Um, there is a defense thing that you get here that I think is really worth talking about.
Yeah.
You have a dodge that allows you to kind of dash or air dash. One of my least favorite systems in this, like I generally like this game, but something I think is a big missed opportunity.
Hmm.
I cannot imagine in a million years not having the smoke dash.
Yeah, that's the
I,
thing. I
wow.
pretty much always had that, and nothing tempted
Yeah.
me away.
There were things that I wanted
Uh-huh.
out of it, and I fucked around with a little bit of the sugar parry, the thing that lets you automatically parry.
Hmm.
I needed that for one of the bosses.
Yeah.
We'll talk about when we get to that boss. But the generally it had the safety bit problem of something that is so good as to almost feel necessary,
Hmm.
and then it doesn't feel like there's a reason to even have it be able to switch out.
Yeah.
There were interesting tactical decisions in the charms. I just feel like 2 charm slots, or even better, like dodges should have iframes.
Yeah.
We ran into this with Hyperlight Drifter as well, if you
Yes.
recall. I don't know. It's just like the medium has changed. Like I understand maybe that wasn't the way it always was,
Hmm.
but now I just expect if I'm dodging, I'm not getting hit.
Yeah.
Dodges got to have iframes.
Yeah,
You know?
I definitely agree. If you don't have the smoke dash enabled, you just kind of very quickly move forward a few tumbo whiffs, or
Yes.
mugman whiffs, or whatever you want. And if you run into any projectiles or whatever, then you'll take damage from them. With the smoke dash, kind of doesn't matter what's between you and that.
Yeah. And it makes a lot of bosses, like nothing gets obviated in this. I don't think any of the bosses, even the easy ones, are like absolute snooze fest that you don't have to care about at all.
Hmm.
But there are bosses specifically in the boss rush at the end that
Yeah,
if you have this, you just go dodge through them and you're fine.
yeah,
But you can only change those things at the beginning of a long string of boss fights. So there's kind of interesting decisions to be made there, but not the interesting decisions I want to be making, I
yeah,
guess. It's not which benefit do I want. It ended up feeling like, do I want to severely reduce my capability to
hmm
get a different benefit?
yeah, yeah. And like there are interesting trade-offs too, like more health in exchange for doing less damage, which feels a little bit like a noob trap to me,
Yeah.
because best offense is a good, or best defense is a good offense sometimes, you know?
The one that I was missing, the thing I ended up buying and using a couple times, but really wish that I could have more often, was regaining health on parry.
Yeah.
That seems huge because it's not a game with health pickups. Like, you don't regain health generally. It's a one-way ratchet. Being able to do that would make a huge difference. It just, every time I did it, I ended up getting hurt through my bad dashes more than I was recovering health.
Yes.
Through that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the parry system.
Yeah, this is neat. So if you attempt to do like a double jump, if you hit jump again while you are about to contact a pink projectile or object or attack, any of those things, then you will kind of do a little snap and then get rid of that projectile and do like a little bounce off of it.
Yes. This is in no way optional.
Nope.
One of the final bosses of the game is just like a test to see if you know how to do this. You have to be able to do this. Yeah. And the timing's a little trickier than you might think. Like, it does feel like a parry. It's not really parrying in a traditional video game sense, but it has the same kind of like timing window.
Yeah. It felt a little bit more generous than I expected it to be, while also being just a little bit finicky. The difference between like the proper timing and taking damage was not necessarily intuitive for like the first half of the game.
Yeah. And missing it feels real bad.
Yes.
You know, which will happen from time to time. Makes a very satisfying sound.
Oh yeah.
The sound design in this is great, just across the board. And that sound is very like,
yeah.
So this charges up your super meter faster, but also it's part of your grading at the end of each stage, which this is a real C's get degrees kind of game for me. We're doing this in the Mark of the Ninja later in the month, and it's like, I'm a 3-4 honor boy. You know, I am not getting good grades in this shit.
Yeah. You know what? He's average.
Yeah, I just need to get through it.
We can't have this. We can. Who am I to be so haughty as to say I deserve to be more than average? Come on.
Well, it's also one of the things about average when people talk about C. You have to take into account what it's an average at. You know, I'm okay being average at Cuphead.
Yeah.
You know, like, what? That's no shame. I'm okay being average at Bayonetta. You know, that's great. Yeah. I wrap up none of my self-worth in being good at that. You know, why would I? Just because it's a grade, like, what you're being graded for matters.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm here to see cool shit, so I will see my way through this battle.
I'm gonna C- some cool shit. Yeah. It's just like, there are things I do care about being good at. This isn't one of them, really.
Yeah, that's fine. Psychographics are different for gamers. Yeah.
If you play co-op, you can bring your dead partner back to life by parrying their soul before it reaches the top of the screen, which is great. Very funny. The way they balance co-op, I haven't played co-op, but the bosses get tankier. But you can basically revive each other forever.
Yeah.
You can go back and forth on one hit point for a really long time. So it seems kind of fun. Never done it.
No.
So
neither have I. Some bosses, I think this is a mistake. We can talk about it when we get into the individual levels. Some bosses are fought in flying levels where it straight up becomes a shmup. Not like a platformer shoot 'em up, but like an actual side scrolling shoot 'em up. I think that this is I don't know if it's a strange decision to split your focus like this.
Yeah. It doesn't, I kind of get it. You know, a little bit. It allows them to have so many more patterns of projectiles.
Yeah.
You know, and in a way of this game being about how many patterns of projectiles, or about patterns in general, like, to be slightly less reductive, like, it allows for more patterns.
Yeah. Taking gravity out of the equation makes sense.
Yeah. You know, so I kind of get it. And these are a mixed bag for me. Like, some of these I think are fine. Right. The one of my most hated boss fights is one of these. One of them isn't. So I'm kind of split.
Yeah. I also don't like the run and gun stages, which we'll talk about.
I don't like those either. Yeah. Those I'm with you. I think those suck. Yeah. The plane controls really differently. than this. Obviously, there's no gravity because you're in a plane, but instead of a dodge, you turn into like mini mode.
Yeah.
Your plane gets small, moves faster, and has crappy range.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why there isn't just a dodge.
Yeah.
For this, that would also seem to work in this kind of plane, but I very frequently forgot it was here or tried to treat it like a dodge because of muscle memory and then got hit.
Mm-hmm.
That took me a long time to get used to.
Yeah. Oh, if you're listening to this as a service or you're trying to decide if you want to play Cuphead, my big recommendation, probably the biggest recommendation, which is try it. If you get it, play it. It's neat. But change the controls so your dodge is on the on the right trigger. Because having it up on Y, that ain't it.
Yeah, I mean, you want to change your controls regardless. I ended up doing left trigger and then right trigger to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you want the triggers to shoot. That was a good innovation.
Yeah.
You know, that we did because then you can dodge and shoot at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also recommend trying it. Like, I didn't lose my mind over it, but I did like it a little bit more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
You know, it was fun to look at.
Mm-hmm.
1000% watch a playthrough of it.
Yes.
So yeah, even if you decide like you don't want to play it and don't like it, it's fun to watch.
Pay attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the flight thing, you after the first time you do your flight, you get a second shot that lets you drop bombs on enemies below you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this kind of arc, arc attack.
Yeah.
There. And your super meter turns you into a bomb. So you can fly close to the boss and blow up and do some damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. I just, man, muscle memory is such a big part of this, and to change it up, I never got as good at the flying stages as I was at the run and gun, not run and gun, but
the run and gun bosses.
Yes,
the run and gun stages are interesting to me. So these are like kind of like Contras, you know, platformer levels. This is how you have to get coins, which you use to buy things from Pork Rind, the demon. I don't like these very much either. They contain mini bosses, and they just don't like. I feel like checkpoints are more necessary in a stage than they are with a boss fight.
Yeah,
it was just way more demoralizing. Not only dying, but also like missing a coin that you can't get back because you missed a parryable guy. And I'm like, well, you know, fuck. Like I guess I'll start over.
I guess I have to do this perfectly. Yeah.
It's they're bummers to me. Notably, the DLC got rid of them. Like I think it is a popular opinion. They also didn't add a lot of stuff to buy,
right?
So, and the only reason for these is coins. But yeah, they're just not that great.
Yeah.
So difficult. Let's talk about difficulty in this because it's weird. It's slightly weirder than it might seem.
Yeah.
I got a premise I got for you.
I want to hear it.
I want to throw it at you. I don't think this game is harder than Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, I don't necessarily think this is, in terms of like topping out a meter, like that difficult. What it is, you know, we talk a lot about, specifically on our show, like people don't listen to that show. There maybe are people listen to this and not that show, but we talk about this a lot in Bonfireside Chat. One of the things about Elden Ring is that Elden Ring's like possibly the hardest Souls game. Like, it's very hard.
Yeah.
But there's another side to the equation, which is player expression and options.
Yes.
I think Gungeon is probably a harder game than this, but with a way less constrained play space.
I feel like Gungeon is more about adaptability.
Yes.
And this is more about, I'm going to say memorization, but yeah, execution. Memorization / execution.
There's not very much room for improv in this.
It is Elden Ring versus Sekiro.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And even less so than Sekiro, one of the other things I thought about while playing this is it feels a lot like fighting Dark Souls bosses if Dark Souls bosses didn't respond to your actions.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so like instead of, okay, I've done this dodge or I'm doing this heal, which I can bait the enemy into doing this, it's more just, the boss is now doing this. They've just arbitrarily decided to do this, and now I need to know what to do when the boss goes into this mode.
Yes.
You know, there's some kind of like micro improvisations that can happen sometimes because attacks will overlap. But generally, like, there is a hard counter like tactic to almost every phase. So the game ends up becoming this very, very pattern recognition based game.
Yeah.
Like just being like, okay, the boss is doing this. Now I know I need to basically dodge in circles. and that will take care of it.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know this stuff in advance. You have to see it.
And every level ends up being kind of a shuttle run, or every boss ends up being a shuttle run.
You know, which ends up working. You know, the bosses like take 2 minutes at most.
Yeah.
You know, you get timed on them. So they're short levels,
Mm-hmm.
but you're going to be iterating on them over and over and over. Like the part of my brain that's not huge, like I don't get tons of pleasure out of this, but I get a little bit of just like, oh, I know what to do in this situation.
Yeah.
You know, does get scratched by this.
Mm-hmm.
Like learning, like, okay, like I got this is no problem. He does this. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Bam. But that's the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not like there's not improv. There's not a lot of like when you lose in this, it's not typically what should I do differently in terms of trying a new tactic. It's how can I execute better?
Yeah.
The tactic that I know I need to do.
And I think that the relative, let's say, inflexibility of the equipment system does kind of lead into that. You're not making a build in anticipation or in response to, kind of different circumstances. Really, the seeker shot is generally what you want, or if not that, then the spread shot. You generally want this
mild, like something maybe
very mild.
Yes. Yeah. I'm just trying to head off people saying like, no, like actually you do change. Like, yeah, you can make some very minor changes, but compare it to video games.
Keep in mind, we said like, hey, floating by with a C+ on this is generally okay. I understand that a lot of that may come into play, may be more of a factor if you're somebody who wants to, is cruising after A's, S's, or P's, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where that margin is going to live. That is not where I live, though.
And also that if dismissive, hey, skill issue with the host, sure. I'll take it. Again, I don't care about, this is not something I care about being good about really necessarily. So it doesn't bother me that I'm speaking to it from a perspective of not being great at the game. I saw credits, like I beat it, that's good enough for me. And if I hadn't beat it, it also would have been good enough for me.
And like there are cool moments. Like I think this game was at its best when, I struggled to get up to the 4th phase, of a boss. Like, okay, many tries, finally felt like I got it. I had never seen phase 5 when the boss was going full on, like, the last minutes of a Phoenix Wright trial. Getting desperate and adding like sometimes a whole different mode, just like, okay, I've not seen any of this, and like I really don't want to have to shuttle run through this again. I'm just going to like try and like grab this W in the clutch, right? And adapt it and got through it, right? Like that feels really, really cool.
It does. It feels really, really good. The game is designed to encourage those moments. A lot of times the last phase is simpler. It's just the music, it's more intense and you've been playing for a while. So like it feels a lot more intense, but the actual last phase is easiest. That doesn't always happen, but it happens with some frequency. They want that. The other thing that is true of this that I think that a lot of people take a lot of satisfaction in, and there's a part of me that gets it, I intellectually get it, is if you go back and fight any of the bosses that gave you trouble, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Like basically that muscle memory sticks, and there is a satisfaction in this seemed impossible and now it's not.
Very much so.
It's just how much it's the game. Like how much does that spend for you?
I get that out of like rhythm games, right? I'm playing Future Rhythm right now, and I'm feeling that way. It's just, I don't get it out of this.
I don't. One of the things about this game that I think is not particularly savvy is its approach to difficulty selection. This system is a failure. When you fight an enemy, you can fight on normal or simple difficulty. Simple difficulty does a couple things. It simplifies the bosses. It doesn't just change the damage they do or their hit points. It takes away phases and attacks. But it also doesn't count as clearing. So I don't really understand what it's there for. It doesn't function as a practice mode.
No.
Because you could beat something on simple difficulty, and then when you play it on regular, it has whole new phases you haven't seen.
Yeah, and thus have not learned to respond to.
Yeah, it doesn't, and it doesn't function as an alternative path through the game for people who just want to see all the cool cartoons, which would be great.
Yeah,
like there should one. I mean, again, I know that we're broken records on this shit. Like I always want modular difficulty things. I care less about the artist, pure vision of them thinking like it's really important that everyone rise to this challenge. That's subjective, and I don't think that one person should necessarily be making that decision. It's I mean, they can, I'm saying should, like they shouldn't be put in the Hague or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just think it's best practices to be like, like the Hades thing, put on God mode if you're having trouble or for any reason you care about. What do we care?
Yeah.
I think it's a much better look. And the way that Cuphead would have done that would have been to have simple mode still count for completion.
Yes. Yeah. It's to take this to a different kind of thing, it'd be like simple mode in Guitar Hero. We cut out all the solos, right?
Yeah.
But
and then you can't do the last thing. You can't do the last several,
can't move on to the next batch of songs until you finish every song, in expert or whatever.
Yeah. Silly. Like I just don't, and it's a short game, so part of like the length of the game is meant to be working on it. And I believe that like the developers probably do believe like, no, we made, a fair game and we want people to have that feeling of satisfaction. I hate that attitude because like, even on simple mode, this is probably pretty hard for some people that would still have fun and see all your art.
Yes.
I hate the prescriptiveness of like, no, you have to do it our way. I just think it's a really bad look.
Yeah.
Like people are within their right to, but I think it sucks.
It's not good behavior,
Yeah. Not good behavior.
Yeah. If I can get through this game, I feel like a lot of people can, but yeah.
Yeah. I struggled with this last night. I struggled with like another like Celeste.
Yeah.
Which I had a harder time with. But Celeste is like, hey, play this however you want.
Yeah.
Adjust anything you want. And it's still like a hard game that people get a lot of satisfaction out of. You're not really losing anything by opening up those floodgates, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. There's also expert mode, and that is the only way to get the highest of the rates rankings.
Yeah.
I think it's P is what it is. Yeah, I think it's one
P
above S. Yep.
Yeah.
I bet P for perfect, maybe. I think it's no hits or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's more than no hits. You had to do no hits to get A+ rank.
Yes. Yeah.
I watched all the bosses today to refresh my memory on all of them because there's a lot of them. Yeah.
So we already talked about the charms. It'd be nice if you were able to get more of them, but those are just passive benefits. The structure of this has kind of a Mario World kind of thing going on, or maybe Super Mario 3D World, let's say. Each island is somewhat non-linear. You always have access generally to a handful of bosses to choose from, or a run and gun or a mausoleum. I will talk about this when we get into the body of the game. And then defeating a boss will open up a gate, repair a road or a bridge, taking you to the next group. You do have to defeat all of them before you can move on to the next of the 3 islands, though.
Yeah, it's I mean, this is good. It's letting you, I'm banging my head up against this guy. I'm going to try somebody else for a little bit. Yeah. We talked about the aesthetics before a little bit because you can't get around it. But it's worth mentioning because people might not, if they're not familiar with this or that series of cartoons, you're looking at like old 20s, 30s stuff. So like Fleischer Studios.
Yeah, it's specifically the rubber hose style where like everything is plastic made of rubber. Arms and legs are tubes. Kind of thing. A really fluid motion. If you're picturing a cartoon where like everything in the background is has eyeballs and is smiling and is bouncing to the beat, you're about halfway there. This is also like. A thing that I love about this style is it there's no wasted space as far as gags or visual tricks goes. Like if a transition or an action, could benefit from something entirely changing form, or having like a little comedy beat in there, no matter how small it generally is. Like it really is anything can happen kind of animation that takes advantage of the fact that like, oh, this is all just imagination. Like literally, if we can draw this, it can happen.
Yeah. It's the opposite of Snow White.
Yeah.
Which could have been a play. Like it's I really appreciate that. Like it's not funny to me. I still lack the gene that finds this kind of thing. Like, I laugh at it.
It's babies on girders. Yeah.
Yeah. It's babies on girders. Man, we're going to talk about the Cuphead cartoon for annotation today, and a baby shows up and it doesn't get on girder 1. And I was in the streets hooting and hollering, like calling my neighborhood association,
calling your congressman.
Yeah. Get that baby on a fucking girder. But it's babies on girders. Like the humor is like, what if this isn't it outlandish? No humor. But what I really appreciated was it was like talking to a kid where like, yeah. And then it turns into a tomb and I'm like, oh shit, like just that kind of like surreal, not literally not being able to expect what happens next. There's a huge joy to that.
Yeah.
Which I really like. And things just, these are all protean monsters. Like they're all shapeshifters. Like, yeah. Form is not steady.
Yeah. Something that I love about this is that the kind of lushness and handmadeness and kind of obsession with visual polish of it does not get in the way of the technicals, like the basic technicals of it, like it feels like a very well tuned and polished version of this kind of game.
It's almost all of it is. Like there's a couple like minor things like where something will show up for visual polish, but it's unclear whether it has a hurt box.
Yeah.
Things like that. And if you pay too much attention to this stuff that's going on, you will die.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's part of why you're talking about it being a more fun game to watch than to play, because like there's a lot of things you just can't see if you're actually playing the game.
Yeah. Cause you have to break it down to wireframe. You have to run that filter in your head.
Yeah, basically you have to, like, there's not really a way around it. Soundtrack's really great. All jazz, big band, Mario Brothers music, kind of stuff, by Christopher Madigan, all using vintage recording techniques. Sounds great.
Yeah. Also, I love that there is no story. Like everything about these bosses is just conveyed in the animation beats, in the overall arc of how they work and how they look and what they move through. You get like occasionally like a little storybook kind of thing, like a viewfinder where you're going through a couple of slides in the transitions between islands. But like this is as simple of a premise as there could possibly be, and they load everything into the actual visuals. Yeah,
it would be awful if there were a lot of talking in this. Again, the cartoon, which has a lot of like way more words than I wanted to.
Yeah.
The cartoon, which is based on, it's basically a fun, goofy kids cartoon based on this game, not a cartoon that is trying to recreate the cartoons that this game is based on.
Right.
Which is what I would want. The development was led by two brothers, Chad and Jared Moldenhauer. Chad did animation and visual design, while Jared led the rest, other design.
Yeah. And they had always liked classic animation ever since they were kids watching these VHS compilations of classic animation, primarily Fleischer stuff, Popeye, Betty Boop, things like that.
Yeah. Old King Cole. Yeah. They attempted to make this game in this style in the 2000s, but that effort petered out. Yeah. So they picked it back up again after seeing the success of Super Meat Boy in 2010. This indie explosion, and also probably if their game design wiles went to Ultra Challenge, that was an early Ultra Challenge game, like Masocore style game.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, one of the first of those to be super, super successful, right? Yeah. The development cycle was very long for this kind of game. Took 7 years. I remember like reading about this game for years and years and not believing it was ever going to come out. And that was protracted by the small team. They ended up working with a handful of people from all across the world. Actually, they're based in Canada, but also they really stuck to, we want this to be hand animated, which is a very labor intensive process.
Yeah, but it looks cool. They remortgaged their houses in order to keep this development going. Eventually, Microsoft gave them a cash injection.
Yeah. This was originally going to be all boss fights until they got pushback after showing and saying, "Hey, it's a boss game. This is Alien Soldier, right?" They showed it at E3, and people are like, "Hey, it'd be real fun if there were platforming levels." And then a monkey's paw, the finger curled. Yeah,
I have no idea whether we're alone in that and not liking those. I wonder if people in general like those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They never, I always groaned when they were coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So this was really highly anticipated. Obviously, just it shows really well. It released lots of acclaim. Tons of people loved it. There were a little bit of grousing about the difficulty of the game and the length,
which is wild because those are entirely contradictory.
They are, yeah, 100%. There was a very specific controversy. This is where a bad games journalist suck thing comes, like video footage of a games journalist playing the tutorial of it and having a hard time with it. Became tons of ammo for just the worst people in the world.
Oh yeah, consumer rights people coming in and saying, why
are this person the right? Why isn't it me? Yeah. I'm a good gamer. Why isn't this my job?
Yeah.
Like, well, you didn't go to fucking journalism school, then like hustle a network and try to apply for it.
Yeah. It's a bunch of stuff. There are a bunch of reasons. Yeah.
It's also not that desirable of a job. Those people get laid off all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not...
I was about to say, see what happened this year, but also see what happened several times every year before this.
Yeah. Every year that we've been alive. Like, it's not a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really dumb. Less dumb, a better kind of controversy is there was a little bit of stuff about the art style that came through. This has shown up a couple different places. There was a New York Times Gamer article about it. A really good article by Yusuf Cole did on unwinnable.com, Cuphead and the Racist Spectre of Fleischer Animation. That was a real reading about that, and then reading the backlash to it was a real become the Joker moment for me, because people kept responding to it like, how can he get away with this? And I'm like, dude, he's just asking you to consider something.
Yeah. Like he's not even really asking them to make a different project. He's just saying like it is worth, since the style is attached to a very popular game right now, and it is the primary thing that is attractive about it, it is worth reckoning with the stuff that is attached to it. And yes, they can say, we just like the aesthetic, we didn't want to pull, we mind the stuff, or we don't really want to wade into the social part of it. To a certain degree, that is folly. You are going to start start a conversation. You can try and bring only the good stuff, but the bad is going to come along with it, right? And it's worth knowing that history, right?
And him saying like, hey, this game is really awesome looking and awe-inspiring and stuff, but you don't gotta, it's not really a great attitude just to be like, we're gonna whitewash this. Yes. It is some missed potential to not directly grapple with something is not contradictory. Like I hate to get, one of the things I hate about game discourse is the way that for consumers of games discourse, it automatically sorts things into yes or no.
Yeah.
And the thing that was frustrating about that whole discussion was no people of color critics were sorting this game into no.
Right.
Like nobody was saying like, you shouldn't play it, you're bad for playing it, these developers are racist, they must be a fan of these minstrel shows because nobody was saying that. Yep. There was like absolutely no room for fucking nuance in the discussion or just being like, hey, here's a thought.
Yeah.
You may not know this, but this thing this is based on actually was really fucked up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really fucked up shit in it.
Go read the articles, but the basic kind of first principle of this is lowbrow, common entertainment, especially in the early and mid 20th century, kind of ascended a lot of the tropes and just general hey, this is what we find entertaining, bubbled up from minstrel shows. Right.
Yes.
It kind of started and hung out there. If you know about a movie from the 20s, it's probably The Jazz Singer. It was huge, and you cannot ignore that when you're talking about entertainment from the time. It bubbled, from there through vaudeville, and then up to when animators were starting to make stuff, they cribbed heavily from vaudeville and therefore minstrel shows, and you end up with tons of racist caricature, character archetypes from minstrel show kind of stuff that just kind of became like a lingua franca. Right. You know exactly what this character is supposed to be by how they're acting and the way that they are drawn. I myself, as a little white boy who liked animation, when I saw this fucked up stuff, I didn't, recognize it, didn't feel it. There are tons of people who are, being parodied and mocked, who, either felt it or learned about it and said, hey, that's fucked up. And those are the ones who are pointing out, like, yeah, like this is pretty entangled. That's the argument. That's the argument that's being made. Right.
It's a service.
Yes.
It's pointing out a spot, like, even if this cartoon, the cartoon that is this video game is not engaging in those tropes, you can put it right next to one that is.
Yes.
The New York Times Gamer one was like, I kept expecting there to be a boss fight with, a huge racial caricature.
Yeah.
Like spitting watermelon seeds at me or something, because that's the kind of stuff that would happen in cartoons of this era. And it's frustrating because it's not like Cuphead the game should have Cuphead turn to the camera and say, deal with this stuff directly. Like, I kind of understand that. It's just a missed opportunity. There's a discussion to be had, and it's just people trying to have the discussion.
And there was a knee-jerk reaction to that discussion getting started that didn't look great.
It didn't look great. And people are just, oh, you're saying I'm racist, you're saying this, blah, blah, blah.
No.
It's like, nobody's saying that. Like, it just, there's got to be room for some kind of fucking middle slider, or we all may as well just die now, because it's intolerable. It leads to this being hell in a lot of ways. I'm not trying to sound like a centrist. It's just, somebody can say, it can't always be yes or no.
It's not centrist to say, like, pay attention to what these critics are actually saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And what they're saying is not as extreme as you're pointing it out to be.
Yes. Yeah. There's a certain literal reactionary kind of attitude that is taken when you are not necessarily under attack.
Yeah. Yep. Cuphead the game, despite all of this, all those people who are saying, like, oh, it's an indie team. You can't say this bad thing about them. What about worker solidarity? Sales were actually good.
Yes.
So this became like this miniature merchandising empire. There are a bunch of toys or a bunch of things like that. There is an animated series, The Cuphead Show, which we'll be talking about on Adaptation Decay this month. I don't like it.
Synergy.
Yeah, there's synergy though. It's, there's a couple jokes that are funny in it.
Yeah.
And then there's a DLC for it that we're not talking about.
Yeah. The Delicious Last Course. This literally came out like 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
It was like 2022. It was very well received, added a bunch of new bosses, added a new character, which is also its own kind of easy mode that can be taken back into the main body of the game. If I understand correctly, Miss Chalice.
Yeah. It does take up a charm slot to use.
Oh, yeah.
Which again, they can't make it too easy. But yeah, she comes with an inherent dodge thing, which I want, even though you have to duck to do it.
Oh, weird.
And then she has a double jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's a little bit easier with that. I've watched a playthrough of this. The bosses are just as imaginative and cool.
Yeah.
As you think. The last boss looks like fucking hell. The Mr. Saltbaker thing seems like the absolute hardest looking thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna get into it. And like this episode might be a little weird because again, we're talking about bosses.
Yeah.
Talking about boss fights almost exclusively here, but we'll get into it here.
We will. Give a little bit of a nod to the title song. I fucking love this. Just the barbershop quartet singing the story of the game. Yeah.
They're little gambling people. Cuphead and Mugman, they enjoy rolling the dice.
Yes.
And they went to the place called the Devil's Casino. Bad move. Gambled and lost everything.
Yeah.
And then something that I have never seen anyone comment on, the devil makes them into cops as opposed to them Talking about class traders, as opposed to them dealing with the consequences of their own actions, they can go give souls to the devil. Like go collect these souls from these other debtors in exchange for their own souls. So for these two individuals, 25 people are being consigned to hell. And like they're not good people.
No.
Like that fucking clown. If anyone deserves to go to hell, it's fucking Beppy the clown. But it is just them being like, well, what if we didn't go to hell? We just spread the pain forward. They are awful. Cuphead, Mugman, evil people.
Yeah.
In the end, they don't do it, but for the whole game, it doesn't seem like you are going to.
Well, I mean, it's a choice. There's nothing saying that the bad ending isn't a way to go.
Isn't canonical, or you just never end up being the devil and just collect all these souls. I'm going to use them. The cartoon reveals that there is a liquid inside Cuphead, Mugman.
Yeah.
What it is, unclear. But they could just pour some souls into these vessels as well.
Yeah.
They're raised by a different species, a kettle. And the kettle gives you a warning, says like, listen, you should go through this plan only to get close to the devil and stop him. You shouldn't give him the souls, even though you can. And he gives you a magic pill, and the magic pill is what makes you be able to shoot and jump and dodge and stuff.
Yeah. I like that you do not get like a gun. You just literally do finger guns.
Gun fingers.
Right at you, Jack.
Yeah. It's all a little Matthew McConaughey head.
Hey.
Yeah.
This first island is pastoral, fields and forests, and a lot of the bosses are going to be vaguely themed about that.
Yeah, and this whole thing is kind of a Green Hill zone. All of these bosses end up being no problem, like eventually, but none of them are a joke the first time you play them, which is a good trick.
Yes.
The first boss you're likely to face is the root pack in Botanic Panic. This is 3 vegetables.
This is 3 root vegetables. So sometimes I really enjoy this where it is a bunch of just a bunch of fucked up guys.
Yeah. You get some real fucked up guys in this. It's real good.
Yeah.
This is as simple as it gets.
Yes.
It still ends up feeling like a little bit of a rude awakening from just video games, though. You start out, there's this potato, it just shoots these dirt balls along the ground. And every once in a while, there's one you can parry, but you just have to jump over them. That's it. Like there's nothing to it. Seems so simple, but they go a little faster than you would expect.
Yeah.
For a game. Like this is as hard as a Mario boss for about 2/3 of the way through the game.
Yeah,
it feels
like the rate at which they fire is like a little bit out of phase with the way that you fall. So after like the third one, you're going to have to do a little bit of like dodging at the last minute, because if you're just doing regular timing, you're going to drop right back onto the one. And it's showing a little bit like the parryable projectiles are not always going to be just a pink version of what you were dodging before, because like dirt ball, and then a ball of worms, and those are pink and they're dodgeable.
Next, after you beat him, and there's little animation transitions between them. I was unclear whether enemies took damage during transitions. Turns out they do.
Yes, you always want to be firing.
There's a mod on PC that adds life bars, and I was trying to think like whether this game be easier or harder with life bars.
With that knowledge, yeah.
And I think it would be too monstrably demoralizing because the bosses all have so much HP.
Yeah,
and your shots, like they're each taking hundreds and hundreds of shots.
Yes,
to kill. Like doing your super and having it do 2% of the boss's damage.
It'd be a lot.
Would be it'd be excruciating.
Yeah.
So what they do instead is if you die, it shows you how close you got, which is a psychological trick to make you want to try again.
I was this close to the next phase. Like,
yes.
Now that I know how to dodge that attack that hit me, I can get there. Yeah.
Yes.
Phase 2 is an onion who cries tears that fall from the sky. So you're just dodging left and right. And phase 3 is a little bit trickier. You have a carrot that shoots these homing carrots that come at you, but very slowly.
Yeah, and he's also a hypnotist carrot. He shoots like hypno beams at you.
Yeah, and opens his third eye.
Yeah. They patched in a non-violent way to beat the onion. If you just dodge him long enough, he goes away.
Oh, huh.
Because people felt for that onion. Since he doesn't attack, he just cries.
He's just overwhelmed.
He's overwhelmed. You go to Forest Follies, which is the first run and gun level here. I did this first because I wanted the coins to get stuff. There's not a whole lot to talk about with these run and guns. It's a forest level. Tons of enemies are themed after flowers, and they all have something in common where there'll be an enemy that gets pumped in continuously. So you can never rest.
Yes.
Think about the guys coming in from either side of the screen on Contra. That is always going to happen.
Yeah, it's always going to be, you never want to stand still or not be firing.
Yes.
If I can say anything nice about the run and guns is that there is a large amount of variety of things that happen in them. You do, move through a couple of different kind of set piece kind of things. They're full of like real fun, enemy designs, and they're not repeated really from stage to stage. Each one kind of has its own little theme, even if they behave very similarly.
Yeah. Even if I don't end up loving them.
Yeah.
There's a mini boss at the end of this, which is kind of an acorn maker. This flower that cranks a machine that shoots acorns that you've been dealing with the whole time.
Yeah.
Next boss that we're going to run into is Goopy Legrand in Ruse of an Ooze.
I love these episode titles. Those are good.
It's not very much of a ruse going on here. Goopy Legrand is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. He just bounces like he's got like a regular phase bounce. If he hits the edge of the screen, he'll bounce back. And occasionally he will turn into a little boxing glove into like a lunge attack.
Then he gets bigger. You basically just need to follow him. Try to be behind him if you can. After you beat the second phase, though, we get some fun surrealness. He turns into a headstone for himself. It's real cute. Slides back and forth and tries to slam into you. Very easy, very simple.
Yes. Yeah. Stepping things up a little bit in terms of complexity and difficulty, we go to this riverboat for Clip Joint Calamity with Ribby and Croaks. These two kind of like showman frog kind of guys that also happen to be boxers.
Boxing showman frogs. Here. This is in a little riverboat show that we're doing. Phase one, both of them, they stand on one side and they take turns doing attacks. One will spin his fist and shoot out these fireballs on 3 different levels. Every once in a while they'll be pink, but this is very easy. You just jump over the bottom one, duck over under everything else. The tall frog will release little fireflies that hover and come in from angles. This game does the Castlevania 1 thing of like how Castlevania 1 invented sub weapons so you can have an enemy coming at you at 30 degrees. So you could do something, about it. This game is full of that kind of shit. This is coming at you from a weird angle. Not one of the 8, angles you can aim in.
Yeah. One of the 8 primaries.
We forgot to mention this in the controls, and I forgot it almost the entire time I played the game. You can lock yourself in place.
Yes.
To shoot like a turret. It's like very important. I just forgot to do it a lot.
It's a Gunstar Heroes thing, right?
Yeah.
It is a weird thing that doesn't pop up in a lot of games I have played. It is incredibly useful, especially when bosses start being like positioned higher than you, for some, for some phases. It's just mobility is so important. Like knowing knowing when you have an opportunity to lock in place and knowing when to disengage and start dodging again is its own skill, right?
It's huge. The second phase of this, which for my money is the hardest phase, or the one I had the hardest time with.
Yeah.
One of the frogs turns into a fan that blows you while the other one goes to the other side and shoots bouncing projectiles. And it's just you dealing with the wind physics. I had a hard time for this, got clipped. A lot. And then after you do this, the little frog goes in the big frog's mouth and they turn into a slot machine because why not? Again,
it's animation, it's drawn.
It's drawn, baby.
If you try shoving one frog into another frog, I think both of them are going to die.
And the slot machine is going to come up dead frog, dead frog, dead frog every time you do that. Like you're going to win of sorts. You're going to get a prize, but it's not a good prize.
Yeah, it's a way to turn a tadpole into a sadpole.
Yeah. Or turning a tadpole, putting it in its dadpole and making them do a sad pull together.
I had the most trouble with this. The wind physics thing wasn't that big of a deal, primarily because the projectiles were so slow. This, however, depending on what came up, I think one of the platforms was really easy to deal with. The other ones were like a little bit too much. Anytime I had to like jump from the incredibly fast moving platform to fast moving platform while attempting to get my shots in, it was too much. I ended up falling and taking damage a lot.
There's 3 of them. There's like so the slot machine, you have to parry the arm. Otherwise it just kind of lazily shoots coins at you. And then 3 different kinds of platforms will come out, like very fast ones that are on the ground, ones that have a ball that bounces where you have to jump under the ball, like over the platform under the ball, and then ones that either shoot fire up or down.
Yeah.
So you have to go over under them. Those are all easy to me. Like they just ended up making intuitive sense.
Yeah. The ones that came along the ground, I never really got a hold of.
Yeah. They're tricky. You have spikes on the side as well, so you can't just hang out on the ground.
Yeah.
The second running gun level, there's treetop trouble. Here.
Yeah.
There is a actionably Woody Woodpecker in this. You have to deal with.
He's gigantic though. Woody Woodpecker is small.
Yeah. Well, not the parade version of it.
Okay.
He gets big sometimes.
It's a different character, like Luke and Big Luke.
Yeah. Once a year, he get big.
It's when he brumates. Yeah.
So you have to deal with him and little mites and stuff. They're going until you eventually get to this vertical trunk where there are mosquito enemies and little chopped tree trunk guys to deal with. This is around the time where I bought the charge beam, and the charge beam was useful for running guns specifically.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
for the same mobility kind of questions. Like it's easier to post up and take these guys out with one big shot than it is to try and do that with your regular bosses.
Yeah, constantly charged, so just you can take out an enemy as soon as you see it.
Mega Man style.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the end there is this big boss that's an antlion that flies at the right. You need to jump between platforms as they fall.
I love those bugs that are holding up the leaves to make the platforms, and they get so tuckered out.
Well, helpful bugs.
Yeah. And then we have our first flying boss, and I don't know. Threatening Zeppelin with Hilda Berg, not my jam.
I don't mind this one too much. This one or let me take it. I'm going ahead because I don't remember the names of all these. It's either this one or Jimmy the Great. I first tried, which doesn't happen very often in this game.
Oh, weird.
Whatsoever. So this is a gigantic Betty Boop. Maybe I went into a horny haze. For the Betty Boop tube.
It's not nice to lust after somebody else's wife, though, is the thing.
No longer married, though.
Oh.
Then the canon.
Well, I've got to go kill him now.
Yeah, I've got to go snipe him. Like Sonic. So just the hotness of Betty. I still get tons of every time me and Liv are at an antique store or something, and we go around a corner, there's a Betty Boop thing.
And then your nose starts bleeding like you're a horny anime.
Yeah, I make a lot of hay out of it. Just like, oh, hold on, baby. Meet me in the bathroom in 10 minutes.
It's my hall pass.
Yeah. Sorry, sweetie. I know I keep taking us to antique malls where my hall pass is. All these effigies to my hall pass. But she's so goddamn hot. Look at her melon. How does she stand? What kind of X-Men is she? Oh my god. Imagine sniffing the brace that holds her head up. She's like one of the Pep Boys from The Simpsons with the advertisers.
Don't scratch the heads.
Yeah, where they get the shopping carts to move themselves around.
Yeah. But she's like a mosquito Betty Boop, who is also a helicopter,
an astrology unicycle helicopter.
Yeah,
it's a lot of words. Keep Portland weird. So she's vaguely based on astrology and constellations.
Yeah.
She yells at you and just kind of has random little guys that come and help. These are little birds with nails tied to their back. Oh no, that's in the bird fight. Those guys are great.
These are like little zeppelins with pointy noses.
Yes. Yeah. But she goes through constellations. So she'll turn into different constellations, and you'll only get like 2 of these. It's a little taste of the boss rush.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing where you might get random phases. Taurus, she turns into a bull and lunges at you. Capricorn, she floats around and fires a bow and arrow at you. And the arrow has these little blue stars that come out that home in on you. And then Gemini, these 2 kind of orbiting figures spawn these fire orbs that track at you.
Yeah. You pray you get Taurus.
Yeah, Taurus is no problem. Get out of the way. And then in her final form, she turns into a clockwork moon.
Yeah.
That fires UFOs at you. It's a real grab bag.
Describing it as a little kid telling a story is a very good way to put it.
Yeah, it's great. You know, it's real, the best parts of Axe Cop before we all turn against cops and axes. So little UFOs that come through and will occasionally shoot down at you while she shoots stars kind of randomly at you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if I went back and played her now, I probably wouldn't have trouble, but she was a real wall for me.
Yeah. We're coming up on this first island. I mostly was fine. We're coming up on Gary walls.
Yeah.
The first one, I mean, this took me a little bit of some try. It wasn't really a wall, but the kind of end boss of this area is the Floral Fury Cagney Carnation, which is a big flower. Weird little trivia. His weird arm thing that he does with his palms up is based on an animation from the main cartoon that inspired this, which is called Swing You Sinners. Which is an old cartoon about a weird little guy who gets trapped in a graveyard. I watched it yesterday, and it's cool and weird. Lots of like repetitive dancing. That's what cartoons used to do. But this weird thing he's doing with his hands, I was like, that's so specific.
Yeah.
It has to be fucking something. It's from this cartoon.
Gotcha. It's like he's very sloppily trying to hand me sandwiches.
Multiple sandwiches. Yeah. Like faster than I can eat them. But yeah, this guy's a real piece of shit. He's got a real grin. And he's got these platforms, these flowers in the background. They're floating, and he will do things on kind of 2 levels, on the flower level and on the ground level. Shooting vines, stretching himself out to attack, shooting a little flying plant that boomerangs, goes across one way on the top, back the other way on the bottom.
Yeah.
Etc. First phase is fine.
That's okay.
Second phase is tricky, I think.
And then he takes away the floor and 1/3 of the platforms at any given time. He grows like spiky, twisty, like root vines that go out along the floor, and then will stab upward on one of the 3 platforms at any given time. And that kind of area denial, we've not dealt with that yet in this game.
Yes, it's preparing us. It's going to be a thing.
Oh, it's going to be all
continuously.
Of the things.
Yeah. But this is kind of what's tricky about it now. There's also one other little thing on Island 1, a mausoleum.
Yeah.
These are little mini games, parrying challenges where you have to protect this urn from
these
ghosts.
Are fun. I like
these
these
are
a lot. Yeah.
The articulation of these in the DLC looks awesome.
Oh,
they're just like weird little bosses based on different chess pieces. The knight looks like a Dark Souls fight. Like you only parry him.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you have to wait for him to give openings where you can parry him to take him out.
Nice.
But it feels very Dark Souls. It's like a duel. Yeah, these are fun.
Yeah.
And you get different super arts, of which this is the one I used.
Yeah, the other ones.
I got the other ones, but yeah.
The invisibility, like not taking damage for a while, makes
it's so short.
Yeah,
like I think it seems useful, but it's so short.
And just again, best defense is good offense. Like if I use the super art with the big beam, the Kamehameha, to that is more damage that I do not have to. It's just more time that I don't have to survive.
Yeah, it also was the key to me unlocking a wall boss on Island 2.
Yeah,
was like saving this up. Island 2 is an amusement park.
Yeah,
there's a little spirit that will read your death count. Cool.
I like this. His name. He's the Game Genie.
Yeah, Game Genie is good.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is something that they added in a patch. This added the ability to, he said, if you walk in a circle, then you will get double health for your next attempt at a boss fight. I tried
Oh.
not to do that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I think
It,
I
it
missed
might
that.
just be because I died an awful lot before I got to him that I got this.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
that, that's cool. Like I don't mind
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
More chances to make mistakes never bother me.
Mhm.
Like it's on axis of difficulty. I think is that interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the boss here, Baroness von Bon Bon, with the Sugarland shimmy.
Whew, this is tough.
This is tough.
Yeah.
Again, introducing us to that mini boss thing. So these 3 phases that you have here are not, they vary.
Yes.
It could be any number of these things. So which ones you get kind of depends.
Yes. But she is, royalty. And she kind of lives inside of this candy castle on the right side of the screen. And then sends out little dudes to fight you and deal with you before the final phase where she does the very imaginative thing and pulls out a gun to shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, like shotgun. It's great. Like a blunderbuss. These are various sweets.
Yes.
That come at you. So depending on which ones they are, they will be trickier.
Yeah.
Throughout all of them, little guys come marching out of the castle. That got me more than anything else.
Yep.
It's just, there's always like a little patina of pay a little extra attention, to things. Like they always want to push you over your attention threshold.
It's just punishing tunnel vision. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a waffle that kind of moves around, shoots in 8 directions every once in a while. A gumball machine, this was the hardest one to me, who runs around like an idiot and spits out gumballs.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. His movement is more chaotic than we've come to expect, just because he will turn around to try and come at you, but he has momentum.
Yeah.
So like gauging with when he was going to pick up speed was difficult.
Yeah. There is a actual just big gumball or a big jawbreaker that just slowly floats towards you, which doesn't seem like it would be that hard, but it's really relentless and you're trying to get damage in at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's tricky. There is a piece of candy corn that does this square movement pattern. You have to hop on this candy piece to avoid him through that. And then there's one other one I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
There's a bunch of candies.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a cupcake that ground pounds.
Oh.
But does big sloppy sloops all over the ground, splashes all over. Big messy boy.
Okay. I think you revealed a little bit more about yourself than you would have wanted to, but that's fine.
Just he's got a 2 boop rack. But yeah, so after you do that, and also the Baroness pops up on top of the castle and shoots a blunderbuss at you.
Yeah.
After you get through that phase, the castle starts crawling towards you. And then one of the hardest attacks to dodge for me is the version of her head, the little chocolate head.
Yeah.
That just kind of like, again, kind of relentlessly comes at you constantly.
Yeah.
Very tricky.
Yeah, it does this thing where like it will pause and then move in whatever direction you are relative to it, and then pause again. So the trick is to like manipulate it to run, to move in a direction where you're going to be able to jump over it. Like gauge the rhythm of its movements. That is complicated by the fact that the castle is constantly vomiting out starlight mints that roll across the screen like boulders.
Tough. After this, there is a run and gun, Fun Fair Fever. Not what a fun fair is. I think a fun fair is explicitly at a school, right?
We always called those lawn fates.
What?
FETE, lawn fate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lawn fate.
Lawn fate, the mowing of destiny.
No, I never heard that. I always thought they were called fun fairs.
Yeah, it's where you would go and like they're just people associated with the school and like sponsors would set up little games and stuff. And they were like, that's just what it was called in Ontario, Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess maybe they're also called fun fairs. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is a circus level, like circus and fair level.
Yeah, you're running in the areas between these circus tents, and you're being harassed by a wizard.
Yeah, very Mario.
Yeah.
You know, the floating wizard Kamek
Mm-hmm.
style, attacking from above. There's this moving trampoline barrier they have to hop on. There are dunk tanks, clowns going on these big balls, all the circus favorites, until eventually you fight a gigantic hot dog. Shoots ketchup and mustard at you.
There's like a big lead up where you're doing tricky platforming as you're seeing the ketchup and mustard being shot. You have to avoid those. And I was like, I really hope there's a big hot dog at the end of this. I hope that is ketchup and mustard like I think it is. And like, yep, I'm fighting a big cartoon hot dog.
Oh, baby.
You know what? I really love a cartoon hot dog.
Yeah, man. It's great. One of my favorite, I know it's a real normie thing to like. One of my favorite jokes in The Office is there's a cold open where Pam talks about how Michael told her to just come in and give her random notes. So he seems important. And she like ran out of stuff to write on them. So they keep showing her and they're just like, you know, you're doing great. And then one of them is just a little drawing of a hot dog waving. They goes, hiya, buddy. And she's like, walks in like really important, puts on his desk and he looks at it and nods solemnly. And he's like, I'll get right on this. And puts it down.
Interesting. Looking into
it. Yeah. Hiya, buddy. I had an old coworker who I used to do that whenever she left the office. Like when she went to go lunch, I would draw a hot dog going, hiya, buddy, and put it on her monitor.
Oh, yeah.
Next, we have Jimmy the Great in Pyramid Panic. This is flying above a 3D rotating pyramid, like in the desert. It looks awesome to me. It's a flying level, but doesn't it look cool in the background?
It does look cool. Hey Gary, get ready to make fun of me. This kind of triggers a little bit of my motion sickness.
Oh wow! I mean, I'm not gonna make fun of you for that.
Yeah. No, it's a real, like, I can't watch the show that my parents really love watching on the Smithsonian Channel, Aerial America, because it is nothing but shots like this.
It's nothing but shots of areolas. American style with like little flags and stars on them.
Yep. I mean, that'd be a rad thing for my parents to really like
the
watching.
last living World War II veterans saluting them.
It's like
stop.
What it's a show that is nothing but drone shots of drones moving as fast as possible and doing like really disorienting zooms in on like the Hearst Palace or whatever.
Oh boy.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think I could watch that either.
Yeah, the fact that this is that this level takes place against a kind of like 3D animated, like it does look cool, but the kind of the concept is you're going in a big circle, and there is a focal point on the pyramid, and the horizon is not necessarily fixed. There are all kinds of different motion sickness. This did kind of it was a friction to move against.
Just me going into wireframe mode prevented it for me. But I could see that.
Yes. But like, yeah, it's aesthetically pretty neat. And this is a difficult boss fight as well. Not only because it's flying, but because he has a lot of phases. And it's a shmup thing. More of the projectiles are taking up more of the screen.
Yeah, he does a lot.
Yeah.
Here. The opening, he opens up a treasure chest. This can have different things in it. It can shoot swords. It can have cats. The cats are tough.
Yeah.
You can't destroy them. You just have to dodge around. Eventually he does a phase 2 that is kind of a corridor, where there are little blades bouncing off the wall, screen saving around. You have to shoot the parts of his face and go through different bits of the columns. Yeah. Like a Mario Land level.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's a good way to put it. Whenever I see any of these corridor things, I think of Battletoads for Game Boy.
Yeah, that also for sure.
Yeah.
Level 3, he becomes the sarcophagus opens and it has a red thing inside it. I don't know if this is a decorative pillow or like flesh.
And he shoots out little Saturn, like his eyeballs shoot out. They're Saturn planets.
Why not? Yeah. The my favorite here is phase 4, which I think is really good. He gets an idea. He has this light bulb head that goes around, and he creates a Cuphead marionette.
Yeah,
as like a parody of you that fires at you while his turban goes around in screensaver motion. shooting at you.
It does the exact same thing that the chocolate head does, except
Yes.
occasionally shooting out shmup patterns in addition to the Cuphead. Again, it's a little mockery of you. It's doing the finger gun thing, except it has to be like replicated mechanically. So the end of the finger just kind of like just hinges down while he's firing.
Yeah, it's great looking.
Mm-hmm.
It's real cool. And then the final phase, the G gets real big. This is a part he brings up these little pyramids and his hands look like hurt boxes, but they're not.
Yeah.
I hurt myself avoiding the hands, but they're just there for flavor.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would get around that, but there are a couple things in this game where something looks like it would hurt and doesn't.
It's a thing in a few of the King Dice mini bosses where the foreground stuff definitely looks like it would be it would hurt you. I don't know if you do like a softer focus on the stuff that's in the front. I don't know if you apply like a little bit of like it would break the style, both for the focus and for the transparent if you use like transparency or whatever. But like the hands doing the little jive thing there, that is just to obscure the pyramids.
Yeah, I don't care for it.
Yeah.
The undead horse thing that you or the undead train also has this problem where things are in the foreground.
Yeah.
But these pyramids circle around, shooting these crosses of like dark energy at you that you have to avoid.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then we get to, I mean, again, we're doing this in an order. You can do a lot of it. This, I went and did the mausoleum thinking I would get a better super art out of it. But it's just of extremely brief invisibility and invincibility, and the intrinsic reward of doing the doing the parry stuff.
Fun. Yeah. My first like Vietnam in this, my first wall here is Beppy.
Yeah.
The clown in the carnival kerfuffle. This guy can lick my entire bridge. I fucking hate this clown.
There's real insult to injury in having him be a clown.
Yeah. Who is this clown? Not even one of the good clowns. This takes place in a clown roller coaster thing with so it starts off with him on a bumper car going back and forth. This is no problem. There are shooting gallery ducks ahead. So you have to shoot them if you want to jump over the boss. But if you have the air dash, no problem.
Yeah. Get the smoke dash. It is fine. And he's just doing charge. It's kind of like basically if he turned into a cartoon bull, it'd be the same.
Yeah. The second part, he turns into a big balloon, like at the end of a Simpsons arcade game level, and sends these little balloon dogs at you, which are kind of tricky. But the real tricky thing is the roller coaster coming. From different sections. So you have to parry off the nose of the roller coaster and then jump over bits of people riding it. Little spiky bits of it as it zooms by.
Yeah. And as the fight goes on, fewer of the cars are empty and therefore safe.
Yeah. Hard, but okay. Then he turns into this carousel horse, shooting out horseshoes in these sine waves.
Yeah.
And then while this is happening, there's also going to be the roller coaster going through this. It's fine. It's fine. But then the last phase where he's this canopy ride, the roller coaster has almost no safe cars to go on and it goes really fast. So you want to jump on these canopy things, fine. But then he spits out 4 little penguins that look like they're from Rhythm Heaven.
They are. That is a big Rhythm Heaven vibe.
They're Rhythm Heaven ripoff penguins, and they throw baseballs at you. And for the fucking life of me, these things kill me so often. The only way I was able to get through this was to save my super, go down to one end and use my like gigantic laser to clear all of them.
Yeah,
and then be able to play.
Yes,
I could not abide 4 seemingly random things coming from. From angles directly at me while jumping between these things and trying to shoot him.
Yeah. They kind of, they kind of roll to different spots, where they appear. And they will like sometimes do like a little jump when they fire. and the trajectory of them, the trajectory of the balls is extremely granular. So it is not like just shooting at like 30 degrees or 45 degrees. It is just wherever you go, and they move pretty quickly, and their trajectories will overlap in ways that are hard to keep track of while you are also trying to stay on the same on the safe parts of the car. Yeah, the fact that everything up to this point is relatively manageable. I think about the times that I died, it was almost entirely in this final spot because those fucking penguins.
It's the opposite of what they usually do, where the final phase is a little bit of a,
it's
a little bit of a
down.
reprise.
Yeah.
Not the case here. Yeah, this drove me fucking nuts. Was dying.
Yeah.
I hate this clown. I went into like a fugue state where after every time he killed me, the coach in Left 4 Dead 2, when you're on the carnival level and the clown zombies show up, he goes, "Clowns!" So it was just me sitting on my couch playing Switch. Nobody else is home. Just, about a minute and 15 seconds, then going, "Clowns!" And then, about a minute and 30 seconds, "Clowns!" Just over and over and over, losing my mind.
Yeah.
Over this asshole. So.
See, it's clowns is the problem.
Yeah, it's fucking clowns, dude.
Yeah.
Clowns. Yeah. I hate him.
a relative step down for me in terms of frustration is Wally Warbles in Aviary Action. This is a flying level that clicked for me.
Okay. Yeah. I like this guy a lot. I think he's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like, he's goofy. And there are actually some things that are kind of funny.
Yeah.
That happen in this.
That does carry it a lot.
It's got nice theming.
Yeah.
So it's a woodpecker inside a birdhouse for the first section. Flying, spitting eggs at you that fragment. This is where he sends the little the birds with nails tied to their backs.
It's the chicks with the nails. It's so adorable.
It's really cute. It's very good.
I love it so much. Yeah.
He freaks out at some point and shoots out feathers in an actionably Gungeon spread pattern. Like half the Gungeon bosses do this.
Yep. Yeah. Just shooting it in like relatively staggered waves with a little bit of an offset between them.
Yeah. Afterwards, he goes into phase 2 where it's the baby bird. Like he falls, the birdhouse falls apart, but there's a little bird inside there.
Yeah.
Inside the nest to attack. And he's spinning all of his spiky eggs around him. And gets out a tiny little laser pistol to shoot at you. You just had to stay inside and drop bombs on him.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy. Third phase is pretty tough, I think. Where hospital birds fly up the big bird who had lost all his feathers.
Yeah.
On a stretcher.
This is where you have to remember, I have the bombs.
Yeah. And that the pills fucking split.
Yeah.
the doctors throw up pills and they split into two, and I very rarely expected it.
Yeah. Well, and like while this is happening, so you're not just dealing with the pills, which do the like it's a variation on the penguin thing where the the trajectory is set by your movement. You are also dealing with the sick bird who is plucked of all its feathers. Occasionally, its head will turn into a garbage pail, and it just vomits out garbage.
Yes. It's a brutal attack on birds.
Yeah.
This whole thing, because after you beat them, the other birds pull out salt and pepper shakers. They're just like, I'm not turning down,
free meat. Yeah. Well, it's chickens will eat each other and shit. Like,
birds will eat a bird.
Yeah.
Everyone eats bird. We got another run and gun, the Funhouse Frazzle. Yeah. This introduces gravity mechanics. It's kind of like a platformer bingo card.
Yeah, you gotta parry these little nodes to go up and down. This is fine. It's tough. Just like maybe 15% too tough. Kind of like all the run and gun stuff.
I never felt real good after getting past the run and guns either.
Yeah,
it's just fine. You know, we're on kind of a hard boss run for me. Just kind of how this is. Like the bird, not so bad, but Fiery Frolic here with this dragon, this is hard.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean, this feels very much like a like a Mega Man, like Wily stage thing.
It's 100% like a reference to Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
The end of Mega Man 2 with the dragon.
Yes.
Eventually it starts chasing you. Initially it's in front of you, but then it becomes that.
Yes.
He's
He's a big dragon, and you're up in the sky, kind of
not
like
flying, just platforming on clouds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Platforming on clouds that will kind of seemingly at random get kind of thin, so you've got to make big jumps to get between them. It's not like a regular pattern that they're coming by. And you are dealing with this dragon who's taking shots at you. And kind of just the clouds are going to move, they're going to hit the edge of the screen and you're going to fall. A thing about this game is even in the platforming stages, falling into a gap is not instant death. It is a hit, which is a big deal. It's still punishing,
Yeah, so you only take 3 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not instant death, which is good.
Yeah.
Especially for things like this, where like Cuphead should have brought his plane. After so he shoots out these little sine wave meteors here, and then will attack the bottom of the screen with his tail until he gets to the second phase where he goes to the left and sticks out his tongue. And while this is happening, little fire guys march out.
It's very cute.
It's very cute. They're dressed up like little marching band guys.
I mean, the leaders are like the marshals. The other guys are just really happy to be there.
I love them all. They jump up and attack. This is hard to me.
Because the motion of the platforms is taking you into like a gout of fire that is coming out of the snout. It's a snout gout.
Yeah. This was a real switch on homing and just dodge and jump. Third phase is also really tough. He grows 2 extra heads and shoots fireballs a lot faster, along with a head that turns into a blowtorch that gets rid of a plane for you of the 3 clouds.
Yeah.
Which, depending on what your jump luck is, can put you in some rough spots.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty tough. The Docks District / downtown.
Yeah. This we got this little interlude here with King Dice and the devil talking about the progress you're making. They're like, oh, there's something up with them. But the devil says, hey, we'll try anything. Or if we try anything, he'll deal with us himself.
Right.
Which he will. But it's real cute when you go to these little sections that check to see whether you beat all the bosses, because there's a King Dice song that plays. And if you're going to make it, it just sings King Dice's song, but the lyrics change if you haven't beat all the bosses to be about how he won't let you through. It's cute.
Yeah. Good stuff. Not good stuff. I fucking hate the honeycomb herald.
Rumor honey bottoms can die.
Yeah.
This is the last. Yeah, there's one more who I want to have just like fucking die. This one needs to die though. This is on the die list. This fucking sucks.
So another way in which the difficulty of this game is very strange, stranger than you would expect, is it is not just a ramp up. Even within the the fact that this is kind of non-linear, where you generally always have something to bounce off of, bounce to rather, of the crop that you get in Inkwell Island 3, there are some that are easier, I found, than the things that you get in Inkwell Island 2. Like Sally stage play does not feel like an endgame boss to me.
Sally stage play is a breather.
Yeah.
Like they're still putting in breathers with this, which is good. I'm into this as a game design thing. It just sucks that when you walk up here, you're very likely to go to this first.
Yeah. It's like there.
It's demoralizing. And it's like, well, this is just going to be what Island 3 is.
Yeah.
This kind of horse shit. So she is a queen bee office worker who runs like a little city. There's a little cop that pops out as well.
Yeah.
Like there's multiple bees who have jobs here.
Yes. I think it's supposed to be like this is a newspaper office building, Honeycomb Herald or something.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
There's a Bobby.
There
shows up in the beginning. Yeah. There's a newspaper Bobby. The whole thing is vertical. So there's a tide of honey chasing you. You're constantly climbing during it.
That isn't as big of an issue. What's more of an issue is threats can come from any side of the screen. You're fighting the level and not necessarily a boss in it. Like, yes, Rumor Honeybottoms shows up and is a central figure, but like you're dealing with the entire like ecosystem here.
Well, things coming from the side really sucks too, because you have to be at the side.
Yes.
To climb up. Like the center will oftentimes be taken over by, either there won't be platforms or Rumor will be there herself.
Yes.
A real problem.
Yeah.
So it begins with the bee cop who throws bombs at you. Cop bombs.
Cup bombs. And just the depressed office worker bees that it's a living kind of guys.
That's great. Then the queen bee herself appears, turns into a big wrecking ball, which you have to dodge, while not being hit by bullet bees, and again while constantly climbing.
Yeah.
Pretty tough.
Yes.
Here. And then in the end, she turns into a plane, goes down to the bottom, and chases you from the bottom, and will use her buzzsaw arms.
Yeah.
To reach up on either side. Very similar to like bosses in Order of Ecclesia, like the crab.
Oh shit! Yeah. No, it's pretty rough. She also shoots homing kind of white gloves with little spiky cuffs on them that will just circle around hitting you.
Yep. Yeah. Real jerk. This lady.
Yeah. This was a real wall for me.
Yeah. Hard. Another running gun, the Rugged Ridge. This is kind of mountain and Greek mythology based.
Yeah. I didn't expect that to be in the downtown. It feels a little bit like it was moved from somewhere else.
Yeah, a little bit. We got goats. We got big roaring like Ray Harryhausen rocks that pop up, dragons, and eventually get into these ruins and we fight a cyclops. Or no, a cyclops chases us. We don't fight it. We just have to escape from it.
Yeah. Oh, a thing about the roaring rocks. I like that there are no mountain lions, but it is lion mountains. They're made to look like lions. Yeah,
it's cute.
Yeah.
Next up is Shootin' and Lootin' with Captain Brinybeard, which this one has a reputation for being really hard. I don't think it is that hard.
No, the only tricky part is Brinybeard himself is in the upper right of the screen. So unless you're standing right there continuously shooting up at him, you're not going to always be doing damage.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the only like tricky part is if you're not deliberately trying to be doing damage to him, it's the fight can last forever.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the idea behind this. He fights you with various fish. He grabs an octopus and squeezes little like eggs or something out of it, squeezes organs out of it at you. He will summon squids. He summons a turtle that will shoot little cannonballs out of its back. While this is happening, there's a barrel that goes back and forth on the top that will drop if it ends up above you.
Yes. And also he's on the bow of the ship and the ship will occasionally do like a little tobacco spit, but spit out a cannonball at you. Making the bottom of the screen damage box.
Yeah. Along with little dogfish that will scoot along the pier.
Yeah.
The final phase of this is much easier. I think the ship goes a little crazy, opens wide, and there is the ship's mouth and then its little uvula inside taking shots. And it does a huge laser that you can duck. You can parry off of or duck under.
Yeah. Man, cartoons, two things they made me think were going to be a real factor in my life were quicksand and uvulas.
Yeah. I haven't thought about my uvula in forever.
I'm not even sure if I still have one.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like I haven't looked at it in a while. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the kind of thing you could swallow.
Yeah.
Like it gets a little decayed and then it just kind of comes off and then you have a sore throat for a couple of days and it goes away. I don't know. I just they're really huge in cartoons.
Yeah. Just weird. Yeah. I didn't have an awful lot of trouble with Captain Brinybeard.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm not acing people at this point. I'm not getting through it one time, but like I'm spending 20 minutes on this guy. I'm doing like 7 attempts.
Yeah.
Not, infinite.
There's another run and gun around here, the Perilous Piers. Fuck this.
This sucks, but it does have my favorite designs. I love the angry crabs, and I love the backstroking lobster.
The backstroking lobster is very good.
Like, they're just really, really fun looking designs in this. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, looks good.
I like a cartoon shellfish.
Yeah,
I'll give it
very
that.
much so.
Yeah. The first part has you running along some piers, avoiding these flying fish. Not that big of a deal. But then you start getting into a section where you are platforming across these planks on the backs of angry crabs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Crabs, I didn't mind too much. I just dashed through them.
Yeah.
There. And getting past the lobster was not too bad. The hard part was you get to this octopus head at the end where you have to parry it to make it spit out a projectile.
Yeah.
To make it shoot the bits of debris in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
If it hits the debris, it will go underwater.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like a platform you're on, and to make anything passable, you need to parry it at the right time. Yeah.
Probably the easiest boss on Island 3 to me is Werner Vermin. The little rat man.
I like Werner Vermin, the little tinker rat.
Yeah. Lives in a soup can. Has a cannon. He throws junk at you. Throws little bits at you, at things, until he gets to phase 3, where he goes in the middle of the stage, outfits his can with a flamethrower, and has little bottle caps on the side that come in as saws. Those are the threats. You just stay not on the level that he's on, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You just really have to watch out for the bottle caps.
Yeah. You're just moving up and down. And the bottle caps extend almost all the way to the inside, like all the way to the middle. So it ends up being a big factor throughout the first portions of the fight. Like, you're in this little shack, and you can kind of see this cat kind of looking in the hole, the way looking at holes in the wall, the way that a cat will do. And when you get to phase 4, he busts down the wall and eats the cat, or eats Werner.
Yes. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then you're fighting a cat. It's Tom and Jerry stuff. And the cat's really easy. The cat, if you have the smoke dash, like, just brings in its claws from one side, and then there's little falling debris that comes through. You just dash through it.
So he's like a background boss. Occasionally he will spit out rat ghosts, like his mouth turns into a jail cell with bars and stuff, and then rat ghosts will fly up and then shoot pink projectiles at you, giving you stuff to parry if you need to get over the claws. And then delightfully, the final part of this, or no, is this it's just the death animation. When you kill the cat's face drops down like the old guy in Men in Black, and what's inside but Werner piloting this cat like it's a mecha.
It's great. He got the the upper hand. He got swallowed, and it's just like he piloted him around. Perfect. Love it. Pretty tough to me. Calamaria. Around the high seas hijinks. A plane level, we got 2 flying stages in a row. This one against a mermaid with an octopus for hair.
She stays over at the right. Kind of a bigger deal is this turtle that spits up. It's got a cannon on its back. Spits up big spiky kind of cannonballs that will explode into bursts. That's one of the things. You also get like blowfish that fly upwards, and Calamaria herself is spitting shit at you the entire time, just kind of taking pot shots.
First phase is pretty busy, but not too bad. Phase 2, she summons these electric eels that electrocute her, and this makes the octopus on her head come to life, and turns her into a Medusa. So she can paralyze, she can petrify you. As far as I can tell, this is not avoidable.
It takes up all of the screen. I tried to get close enough to her for it to not matter. It just kind of felt like obligatory damage.
Well, you tap out of it, like you get it, and then you have to tap to get out of it. But depending on what's happening, you could get mandatory damage from this. I don't really like this attack. I think it's kind of bullshit. I would have made this avoidable,
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Yeah. The final part of this, her body is destroyed, but her head is still an active Medusa head kind of thing that will fly you down this corridor made of anemones. And you are avoiding these little spike pillar kind of things while she is shooting slow kind of ghost bubbles at you, and also shooting a more avoidable version of the petrification ray.
Yeah. And so if you get petrified, you just have to tap as fast as you can.
Yeah.
To go. This boss has a big reputation for being very tough. I don't think this boss is so bad, but this robot can absolutely lick my entire bridge like day in, day out.
Second bridge reference.
Both of them can make it meet. Like, what if we kissed at Gary's bridge? Like, the clown and the robot can both just create a new race of people, live and die entirely within my bridge, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I hate this fucking robot.
Yeah,
I hate this robot.
And he doesn't even have a name. He's just Dr. Call's robot.
Yeah, and Dr. Call is just Dr. fucking Wily.
Yeah.
I hate this robot. So a big robot has weak spots. Immediately, like, the stage just gets fucking filled with garbage. Like, just like the amount of things on the screen.
Yeah.
In this first phase.
He's got little drones that fly out of his first weak point. In addition to, he's got this satellite beam on his head. Like, he will have like little like Mega Man pillars shoot out of his chest. It's a lot all at once.
It's just so many fucking things.
Yeah.
You eventually destroy the 3 bits of him, that you have to do. And he's doing these attacks. Once you destroy that, he gets in a little escape pod.
Yeah.
And
well,
head starts flying around.
There's a middle portion where his arms hold up a magnet behind you.
Oh, yeah.
And his head turns into a cannon that shoots out spread shots of like nuts and bolts, and his heart pops out of his chest, and you got to destroy that.
Yeah. Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah.
And then the final, so then his head flies around the screen while there's bombs that come through.
That's not the final. He's not done yet.
No, that's not the final. Then he pops up as Dr. Wily, Dr. Robotnik. He looks like Wily, but he's riding around in a little platform.
Yeah.
Like a Robotnik. And he's sending out these little patterns of energy out from this crystal, while these electric fences like severely limit your ability to maneuver.
You say crystal, they are actionably the Chaos Emeralds.
Are they Chaos Emeralds?
Yeah.
I don't recognize a Chaos Emerald on site.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah. Just the same way I'm not giving big laser beams the Kamayama. I'm not giving emeralds Chaos Emeralds.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, just a gem.
I mean, the fact that it's Dr. Robotnik holding these out makes it is Chaos Emeralds to me. Yeah. But the pattern is different depending on the color, but it is always very busy.
Yes. Just exceedingly busy.
Yeah.
This guy absolutely blows. I hate this guy.
Yeah.
And then there's a big breather. Because then we get Sally stage play.
Yeah. I like having this breather because we are about to be in the corridor of hell.
Yes. We're gonna be at the end.
Yeah. We're in a theater. And we're fighting this kind of ingenue, Sally stage play, through these different phases that are like it's slice of life kind of thing. Like, the first phase is her wedding, and the second phase is the suburban life kind of thing. And really, most of what she does is these really slow, like, beat 'em up diagonal
dive kicks.
Yeah, dive kicks. Yeah.
She does dive kick at you while doing some mild area denial.
Yeah.
Like putting, some like little bits on the ground.
Yeah.
That you can't do. When you eventually do this, we go to the second act. Every time we do this, there's an asbestos curtain. That's a safety curtain. Little joke about bad safety. Which we had.
Well, I mean, it definitely would stop fire from spreading to the audience.
Yeah,
but it would also give you mesothelioma.
It would spread other things to the audience.
Yeah, well, only if you disturbed it.
Yeah, that's true. You got to leave asbestos alone.
Do not
Second,
stare at Super Fun Ball.
yeah, the second phase, when she's in front of her like house, she has multiple babies in the windows above that drop bottles on you. Which were the thing I got hit from this. She still does dive kicks, and there are little rats driving toy cars that will come down, drive on the floor, then drive up to the ceiling and fall on you.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I got hit by the rats more than anything, honestly.
Yeah. Third phase, she's a big Valkyrie. In the like being held up by wires, and then the attacks are stage play wires.
It's really funny because it is not her. It is a big marionette of her.
Is it that or a costume she's wearing?
If you look, I've had all of these in a video going. It's in a whole different style. Like it is entirely mechanical. The way that it is, every part of her is held up.
It just looks like her face. It looks like her face, and her face moves during it.
Yeah,
like she turns. She's like a puppet, but she also like her face is animated. Like I mean, I guess like this is a thing where trains are animated. Like
but she there's a few different attacks that'll go as she is also shooting stuff at you, but they're all kind of presaged. There's like a little sign that comes down, almost like an applause sign, but it'll say lightning, and then the lightning will come down on the wires, like the big wave kind of thing you have to jump over. Honestly, even here, it's about as complicated as this fight gets. It's still pretty easy.
Yeah. Yep. And then she gets her final phase here, where she's doing her curtain call. She's swinging above as like a little angel. Her umbrella is the main thing you avoid. That kind of goes back and forth while people throw roses up on the audience. But this is no problem.
Yeah. Just a fun visual feast. That's it. I like anytime there's like a theater thing represented in a game.
I want to. It's one of the worst levels of Psychonauts. Yeah, like, it's a cool idea, but it fucking sucks. I don't. I want to. I very much want to. I like the flavor of it.
Yeah, flavor's always good. I can't argue with the Psychonauts thing. I think when I'm thinking of it, I'm mostly thinking of like it's the one good part of Silent Hill Origins.
Oh sure, in Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
Another boss, which this one I think looks really hard, but is actually not too big a deal.
Yeah.
Is the Phantom Express, our ghost train.
Yeah. The only thing that's like tricky about this to me is the fact that you are worrying about your platform. So the actual boss is this ghost that controls this train. You're on an adjacent track on like a little minecart kind of thing. And you move it back and forth between 3 different positions by parrying the little valves on either side of it to move it. You're always being moved. And there are advantageous places to be depending on the phase of the fight. It's just the thing you have to jump on is real low, and I would sometimes miss it.
This was where I swapped out of Smoke Dash and into Perry Sugar. Fixed it for me. Perry Sugar is one of the upgrades you can have. It makes your first parry free. You just have to jump on a pink thing. You don't have to time it. And this allowed you to just move the cart whenever you really needed to.
Yeah.
There are little jack-o'-lanterns that are dropping pink Pez pieces down to try to move you as well.
Yes.
Which you can take out, but in general, these were not as big a problem when I could just jump on the things to move.
Yes.
Yeah.
But first phase, you're behind the train, and the ghost is throwing eyeballs at you. Not that big of a deal, though. He does throw a lot of eyeballs.
Yes, more eyeballs than anyone should have.
Yeah,
anyone trained should be trusted with.
And the second phase, he's like a big skeleton, where the head and then the 2 arms will pop out of different, different spots, different configurations of the 3 cars that you're alongside.
Yeah, skeleton conductor.
Oh yeah,
real fun. Not a big deal. You just need to end up where
the head is.
Yeah, where the head is, and you're fine. Second phase has 2 ghosts that kind of pop out of the sides to shoot like these electric waves at you.
Yeah,
they just
they'll vomit electricity down at you, and then kind of like spread to the center. Yeah.
And generally, they take a long time to fire. You can take out one of them, more or less before the fight even starts.
Yeah.
There, not too big a deal.
Yeah. And you're dealing with these ghosts that are slowly homing in on you as they fly from the top of the screen.
Yes. Yeah. And then the final phase, this is the one that I think is hard.
Yeah.
The engine grows legs like a horse and gallops after you. You have to parry this light bulb on its tail to make it open up so you can see its heart. But this also shoots arcing little pieces of fire at you. This is the hard part to me.
The wheels of bone that he vomits that will come along and swipe
bones.
the platform. Yeah, those are rough.
Yeah. Rough stuff.
Yeah. Generally more about visual intimidation than most other things.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that like again, the Perry Sugar fixed it.
Yeah.
Extremely tricky before that. This gets us to the casino, and for the end game, you go into the casino entrance, and we do a very controversial bit of this, which is it's the same thing that happened in Gunstar Heroes in a way harder game than Gunstar Heroes.
Yeah, that level is okay. Gunstar Heroes, easier game than this. Also, that level was tuned to be easier than the rest of the game, it felt like.
Yes.
And
also is maybe more neat than anything else.
Yeah.
This is that. Your King Dice is there. King Dice bet against you and you lost, or he lost, so he's mad. So he has you roll a D3 to move down spaces on this board. And depending on what you land on, you either get a free space, you get a boss and you gain a health, or you go back to the beginning. That going back to the beginning thing.
No.
It's the kind of thing that people who have played the game are probably gonna be like, oh, it's no big deal because all these bosses are easy. You know how to fight them. No, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I just want to get through it.
Yeah.
And yes, like all these bosses are easy. These are all the easiest bosses in the game. They're mini bosses.
Yeah.
They have one phase. Once you know them, it's not a big deal to get through them. And I could pretty consistently no-hit these bosses by the end.
Yes.
Right? I don't care. It was just a huge time tax that made me want to die.
Yeah.
And there's one of them that is in my Hall of Shame. I think it is my least favorite boss in the game. Not for difficulty, but for just how tedious and long it took.
Oh, the memory test?
Yes. The crane game.
Yeah.
That fucking sucks.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's the get back to the beginning. So it's the spot that is right at the end as well. So you may or may not be limping through to this, depending on how depending on how lucky you have been, how skillful you are, having memorized these bosses, et cetera, et cetera. The fact that it is random, whether or not you're going to get, it's not random because you can time it as well. It's kind of like the slot machine blocks in Super Mario World. Like you can pick it up. It's generally okay, but say you fuck up, or say you're specifically trying to avoid a particular boss.
Yes,
you may have gotten through almost to the end without having to fight the horse or the memory test kind of guy. And cool, that's great. I didn't want to fight that. I didn't want to go through it. Okay, go back to the beginning. You might not be as lucky this next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a huge time tax, for it just going through, even once you know them.
Yeah.
And you're learning them, like none of them are, I say that they're easiest bosses in the game because they're the easiest to learn. You still have a failure ahead of you to learn.
Yes.
You just really have to fucking buckle up for this, and just be like, well, I'm going to be here for a long time. Like, I don't know how you do a climax to a game that is mostly 2-minute boss fights and not just do another 2-minute boss fight. I have very mixed feelings about the way they did it.
Yeah.
The thing I like about it is seeing a new group of fucking goofballs.
And they all share a theme. Like they're all, about like vice and amusements, right?
Yes.
Like it's
stuff you'd find at a casino.
Yeah.
And in that way, sure. Like I like some of the designs on them. It also has the scariest design in the game, which is the 8-ball.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. The 8-ball that vomits up black stuff when it dies.
It's so good.
Like very scary. So we should quickly go through these, but the main thing is that board game, you can end up starting over. You can die right at the end. You have to get to the end, and there's a boss at the end of this, which you also have to beat, who is simple, but is like tricky execution.
Yes.
To do, and dying and trying to do this whole thing again feels bad.
Yeah.
Do not like.
Feels bad is hard to get over.
Yes.
Yeah. The first spot, you get the I only have like the names that I have here. I have it as the Booze Trio. According to this YouTube video that I have up, it's the Tipsy Troop.
Yeah, it seems like they're the Tipsy Troop.
Yeah,
it's 3 kinds of booze.
Yes, it's a little rocks glass. It is a martini glass, and it is like a decanter. That will attack you. The rocks glass spills booze along the bottom that'll damage you. The martini glass is the most annoying because it sends out olives that will attack you from above. And the decanter will kind of send like geysers of booze at you.
Yeah. Yep. Obnoxious, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Chips is a cowboy stack of poker chips.
I love how rootin' tootin' he is.
He's very rootin' tootin'. He's great. He just goes back and forth in different configurations of himself.
Yeah.
If you have the smoke dodge, it couldn't be easier.
Oh yeah.
You just dodge through them. Without it fucking sucks. But with it, yeah. Same thing with the cigar. The cigar is on 2 ashtrays on either side with these cigarette spirits rising from the middle. He shoots at you, these little waveform things, and then dissolves and reforms on the other side. So you have to jump over, and if you don't have smoke dash, you have to time it.
Yeah.
Between 2 things. If you have smoke dash, you just dodge through.
Yeah. Not that big of a deal. The background of Chips of Chips Bettigan is his name. It's a bunch of big skeletons playing poker. Which I like. Yeah.
Yeah. Skeletons and devils playing poker. It's great.
Yeah. The domino. This is a conveyor belt boss fight. You've got this conveyor belt of dominoes running you toward a spike wall at the back. The main domino is like up on a trapeze.
Yeah, not too bad. This guy. There's a rabbit in a hat, a magician. Again, only 2 attacks, and with smoke dash, not too bad. He surrounds you with skulls that close in on you. There's one way to get out naturally, but if you have the smoke dash, you just leave. And then he sends down a bunch of projectiles from the top, one of which is parryable.
Yeah. So it's just find the safe spot. Yeah.
Yep.
The horse race is really annoying because of visual noise more so than anything else.
There's foreground stuff that blocks your view, and that sucks.
Yeah. Also flying stage, so you're changing gears.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty obnoxious. There's a roulette wheel. This ballerina that dances from side to side. There are little chip platforms which you have to jump over in order to get over her. But again, if you have smoke dash, you just go through her.
Yes.
She's the easiest one of these, I think.
Oh, even easier than the chips.
I think so. Like, because the chips, I mean, it's the same as the chips basically.
Yeah.
Both of which I think are very easy. The chips at the very least, like, can sometimes fake you out by sending a portion of itself across that you can dodge, and then your dodge isn't ready for when it sends the actual part.
Oh yeah.
She just goes back and forth.
Yeah. I like that it's a roulette ballerina. So therefore a Russian roulette.
Yeah. And she's spinning all the time like a roulette wheel.
Yeah.
The aforementioned 8-ball. This is out of art style.
Yeah.
Pretty hard. This does not look like old 20s animation. It's got a real internet modernity to its horrible teeth.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And also like the end of 2001 A Space Odyssey portal that's inside of his mouth.
Yeah, I love him. He's not too complicated.
Yeah.
Again, we're complaining a lot about this part and then saying the bosses are all pretty easy. Each of these, getting to this easy required multiple deaths.
Yes. Yeah.
To get there. So it's like just very time consuming.
Mm-hmm. And it's the shuttle run problem with the kind of lack of feel good that comes from the randomness, or possible randomness if you don't have the timing down. I think it all kind of comes together in a rough way.
The Symbols monkey is my least favorite one.
Yeah.
This is just a crane game monkey with symbols that just kind of goes in a screensaver while clapping and sending out projectiles in other ways. So it's kind of boring to fight while you do a little memory match pairing cards in the back. Every time you get it wrong, he goes faster.
Yes.
And you have to match all of them.
It's
somehow like the longest boss fight in the game. Like it takes for a fucking ever.
It's also a little bit dirty pool. And I realize I'm saying this about a game for literal children, the memory match thing. Some of the designs are very similar to each other.
Yeah. There's like two cup creatures, but one of them is Cuphead Mugman and the other one's like Mugman and Cuphead.
Yeah. And then it's like dice against different kinds of flowers there. Yeah.
Pretty frustrating. When you beat him, you get to King Dice. King Dice only has one move and one phase, which is good because this whole thing has been him, where he puts his hand down on the ground, walks his fingers, and it creates a marching line of cards. Every third or fourth one is pink. So you have to parry him to stay in the air.
Yes. Fine. I like, again, I'm saying I like this stuff, but it's the visual inventiveness and like the animation through storytelling kind of thing. He's marching them. Every card is an ace of a different suit. So he is cheating. He's literally got aces up his sleeve.
Yeah. Very, very cute. And we didn't really talk about King Dice. King Dice looks great.
Oh yeah.
He's referencing in that Yusuf Cole thing, referencing Cab Calloway, his iconic pencil thin mustache.
Yeah.
If I can divorce, the very good points about that, it is a cool looking design.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, this is again, it's just too many times dying for this, to get it. The luck base, and I don't really like it.
It is very long. It's a lot.
Yeah. Just too long. In comparison, the devil boss fight at the end is not so bad. He has more attacks than other characters per phase, but he doesn't have like a million phases or anything. He's less of an endurance test.
Yeah, compared to the tedium, I think the fact that the devil doesn't really have that does make it just hard to evaluate it as harshly as King Dice.
Yeah, still tricky. By no means is this easy.
I would like to hear what a speedrunner thinks of King Dice, of that of that fight, because this feels like a game that is made for speedrunning. Yeah,
I've watched speedruns of it. There are optimal patterns for King Dice, and they've gotten manipulating the dice down to a science. So I think that they just it's just a longer boss fight once you know what to do. There's not really luck involved. It can kill a run if you mistime a dice jump, I'm sure.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So the devil, he will congratulate you and make you an offer saying like, yes, give me the souls and I will make you, my new lackey because you've killed King Dice. He was getting annoying. And you can say yes. You will skip the final boss fight and you get a little scene of Cuphead and Mugman kind of becoming evil versions of themselves, not doing anything, just kind of laughing.
Yeah. And then that's the credits. That's the ending. You went and you were a soul cop. The end. Good for them. Good for these horrible little shits. Instead, you say no.
Yeah.
And you get into a fight. He is sitting on the throne in the background and takes on different animal things. This was really luck based to me because sometimes he just wouldn't do the attacks that I had the hardest time with. Like when he turns into the serpent head, I had a really hard time getting my placement.
I could see that. Yeah.
So if the time I won on this and other times where I was most successful, he just didn't happen to do that. Like very much.
Yeah.
The other attacks are not as big a deal to me.
I had more trouble with the spider than with the serpent, actually.
It does the cupcake plop plops.
Yeah. Does he do a tubby before or after he takes
Yeah,
the
he does a
cupcake
tubby and a
plop-flops?
plop plop. He goes boom boom all over you. Yeah, his head turns into a spider and kind of does ground pounds.
Yeah.
On you
Mhm.
a few different times. All this time, because it's Cuphead, there has to be a little irritant
Yeah.
that is going on the whole time, and this is just little devils walking back and forth
Yep.
the whole time. Just can't rest, never rest.
Don't focus on the literal devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here are these little imps just running out to feel included.
One of my favorite visuals, phase 2, his skeleton jumps out of his body. This looks great.
Yep.
And then jumps in a hole and says, and you have a little sign that says "Follow me."
Yeah. Well, he's suffering from skin failure.
His skin absolutely falls off.
Yeah. So somebody needs to apply an electric shock across his teeth every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah.
But he jumps down a hole. So there was originally going to be another phase to this fight where you fought the skeleton. But as it stands, the skeleton dropping down the hole and you following it and then getting to the background boss fight is just a very good and fun non sequitur.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Down inside hell, down below, he's got platforms that are kind of going around him while his head is there, his eyes are there, and his eyes are a little slot machine that shows you what he is going to send at you.
Yes.
The eyes are the weak spot. You have to constantly be hitting those. And he has different attacks. So like a bomb will pop out and you can parry it, but if you don't parry it, it'll make a big explosion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are constantly chips falling directly onto the platforms, so you always want to be moving between them. Partway through, he'll summon little flying hairy devil kind of guys that shoot parryable skulls toward the center. Not that terrible to deal with. And then the final phase that gets down to just one platform, and he's crying. He's a real crybaby. He doesn't want to lose.
Yeah, he's whining, and there's just one platform, and chips are still coming down from the ceiling.
Yeah,
which is tricky. You have to kind of do a little curved jump, like jump off to the left and then jump back on. That's hard.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're just avoiding tears. It is a big ease up in the final phase.
Yeah. Because he lost his composure.
Yeah. Because he's a bully. Because he's the devil. The devil surrenders and you accept. You burn all the soul contracts to release all the residents from servitude. It shows a big party with everybody.
Yeah.
Apparently they were all good. Actually,
they were just driven to extremes by the fact that they lost their souls.
Yeah, through their own gambling problems.
Yeah, I mean, kind of seems like the real good thing to do would be to kill the devil.
I would have killed the devil.
Yeah,
he's an optional boss fight in the DLC where you fight him and an angel at the same time.
Oh, do a Bayonetta thing.
Yeah, that I've seen it. I'm probably not going to play it.
Yeah,
but and that's Cuphead.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game where it's like I expected to dislike this based on Sekiro reasons. Like it's just a hate-filled difficulty fuck. And I didn't hate, I liked it, but my big problem is I like more expressive gameplay. Like somebody asked us in the dispatch we're going to record, like what we mean when we say it sucks that if a game is just like slaps your hand and says do it again. And I think that what we mean by that is I want to try something new.
Yeah.
I don't just want to execute better. I want to have another option and another approach I can take.
Yeah.
And there are technically those things in Cuphead, but it is adjacent to not having them. There aren't very many.
Yeah. It's very, very narrow. Everybody's path to success in Cuphead is going to look very similar.
Yes.
Or even if they start different, they're going to converge just because, kind of like we said at the beginning, when you are dealing with patterns, there are only so many different kinds of patterns you can put in and only so many ways that those can be mixed up. And as you see those and as complexity is added, it's kind of going to force everybody into roughly the same shape. which is satisfying for some, but for me, comparing this to Gungeon, which I think is the other like really, really hard game that has the slot machine aspect to it as well.
Yes.
So like you end up getting a lot of mechanical novelty, whereas this isn't, kind of entirely about kind of visual and presentational novelty. I feel like this is an episode that is focused more on the success of the aesthetics, and like, the bosses, I think, get leeway because they are funny to a certain degree,
funny and just imaginative, like, fun, if not funny.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting too, we keep comparing this to Gungeon. It's not like Gungeon doesn't do that. Gungeon's extremely fun and funny.
Yes.
You fight a beholster. It's got a very similar flavor to it.
I forgot about the beholster.
How can you forget about the beholster or the Medusi, aka the Rurgon? All that stuff is great to me. And to me, I would rather have that plus that slot machine and that expression and that wide possibility space, than something that's very narrow and prescriptive. I understand the appeal of that. Like, there's one way to do it. You get to get good at a very specific skill. Like, once you've beat Cuphead, and getting really good at Cuphead means recognizing those patterns.
Yep.
And boy, how did you fucking recognize those patterns? And I think that there's a way to think about Dark Souls bosses that some people do that's the same way. Where it's like, okay, boss does A, I know that I need to counter with B. Knowing that and executing it and having that be second knowledge is where the fun is.
Yes.
The satisfaction. That's never been that way for me though. Like, I want it to feel improvisational and narrative and get by on the skin of my teeth.
Yeah.
I want to have room to make mistakes so I can just barely win something and have it be very dramatic.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I really like a dramatic fight.
Yeah.
Not like, everything doesn't need to be Storm King. You can have a dramatic duel fight, or even like a...
You're talking about dramatic in terms of the flow of ebb and flow of success.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, Cuphead offloads an awful lot of that into, visual drama. Some people want to climb a fixed mountain. This is a mountain that stays, unchanged, like mountains tend to do, unless it's, the Khumbu Icefall on Everest or whatever. But like, this is there for people who want that. It's just generally not a flavor that I kind of seek out. So I also was surprised at how well this kind of landed, but also it's not going to stay as an all-timer for anything except like aesthetics like this.
I'm not thirsty for it. I enjoyed watching the bosses of the DLC, but I'm not gonna, Cuphead 2 comes out, I don't care too much. Like, I'll be curious to see what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see the bosses, but I think I've learned enough to know while this was fun, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
The mountain comparison is really interesting because I think about that, and I think it can be worse when I think about the Dragon Quest mountain. I hate the mountain that is a fixed mountain, but all you have to do is spend time on it.
Yeah.
I think that's rotten design. But what I like instead of a mountain is a big national park that has mountains in it.
Yeah.
That I get to make my way through. However I like. And maybe I don't want to go up a mountain. Maybe I want to invent a car that climbs up the mountain for me or something.
Yeah.
I really like having those options.
I don't like climbing, but like, I really like going through the woods. So I'm going to go through the woods and get around it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I that is more my game value.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a thing that it makes me think about one of the, the taxonomy of fun and where satisfaction fits into that. Like, I think that when somebody hates Sword Saint Ishin and then beats Sword Saint Ishin and then decides they love Sword Saint Ishin because they beat them, it makes me think of the part of fun that is satisfaction.
Yeah.
Like, I was just very satisfied, and I've just never had that. Like, when I get done with something, when I beat the robot in this, I didn't feel good about myself or good. I felt good that I didn't have to do it anymore because I want to see the next thing. I was just very happy to be like, yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I'm never fighting that thing again. That rocks.
Yeah.
But it didn't make me, I didn't start liking it because of that.
I just kind of resented it for getting in the way of seeing other cooler stuff later on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely just a gamer psychographic. I'm not saying one way is better than another.
Yeah.
There's just different things you can go to games for. And we're all very lucky because there's a million games that provide every single thing you could want.
Mm-hmm. And as an act of criticism, there's only so much value in continually saying, "I'm happy this exists for somebody."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
100%. I'm not
really...
trying to really stretch that out or anything. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, I'm not even like firing this back at you. It's just kind of like, I hope it's understood that if we're saying something isn't for us, we're not saying, and I would strike it from the face of the earth.
No,
Like, it's eventually one
it's
of
not
those
Kingdom
things.
Hearts.
It's
like like there are things I would strike from the face of the earth, but it's not this.
Yeah. It's just it's one of those things we keep saying that I have to hope that eventually we will not have to keep saying.
Yeah, eventually it'll somebody will not listen and go,
Yeah,
you hate me because you don't like the game I liked.
I don't know you.
Yeah, I don't know you. Yeah, like, if only it were that simple. Big thanks to Ethan.
Yes,
for this. We appreciate you, Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
For doing that.
Thank you for getting me off my ass to play this game.
Yeah, same. Especially pleasant surprise, like something I did not think I would like that I actually did end up liking.
Yeah.
With caveats, but I did end up liking it. If you are a non-straight, non-white, non-cis, non-male creator and you'd like us to highlight your project, please send me an email at Gary@Duckfeed.tv. I got nothing right now, but just that offer is always open. So it's not a fail condition. If we don't have one of those, we don't get anything out of it. I like the idea of not pulling up the ladder behind us if I can, and sharing some attention. So if you got one of those things, hit me up.
Please do. If you have thoughts about Cuphead, The Coin Game, Mark of the Ninja, or Crisis, go to duckfeed.tv/contact and write in by the 15th of this month, by the 15th of March. If you have thoughts about multiple games, please separate them into multiple responses. That makes our producer's job possible.
Yeah. Crisis is our bonus game, or our bonus episode for this month, our premium episode. So everyone will get the generalities. You have to be a patron to hear the whole thing. If you want to hear the premium episode for next month, for April, we're going to announce those games now. It's kind of confusing. We're not announcing them.
We already recorded that part.
we are pre-taped call-in showing ourselves. It hasn't been released yet, though. There's a whole lot of weirdness. So we announced it, but we're saying them now. So the April's games are Ender Lilies, The Sexy Brutale, and The Quarry.
Yeah. Good variety of stuff over the next couple of months. Yeah.
And The Quarry is our bonus or premium episode.
Yeah.
So $5 gets you that. Gets you a whole lot more though. If you go to patreon.com/duckfeedtv, you get a bunch of bonus shows, a bunch of exclusive content, like entire shows and entire episodes of shows that you already have.
Yeah. Hundreds of hours there for the taking if you want them.
Yeah. $10 gets you even more, including our brand new show Quackstack with our producer Gwen. That show comes out once a month. It's a real hoot.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the next one.
I am as well. What are we going to rank then? We don't know. We decide the day of.
It's going to be up to you folk. If you are in the Midwest, come see us at the Midwest Gaming Classic.
Yeah. March the 31st through April the 2nd, I believe is what it is.
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have more details as we know them, but we're committed. We've got stuff booked. We're going to be there and we hope to see you.
Are we pot committed? I don't know what that expression means.
What's
pot committed mean?
Pot committed is you have put so much. It's a poker thing. I believe it is. You have bet so much so far that to fold wouldn't make any sense in the in the situation. I'm comfortable saying pot committed. Our hotel is not refundable.
Yeah, we're pot committed.
Yes.
There we go. I just wanted an excuse to figure out what that phrase meant.
Okay.
I'd only heard it. You can also leave us ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict, anywhere you might find podcasts. Leave us a rating review. It helps.
That does help out. It feeds the hated algorithm.
Yes.
Yeah. And we would love to thank our producer Gwen for being such a huge help editing and arranging stuff for us. Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you, Gwen. And until next time, what should they watch out for?
I mean, watch out for that.
I'll take this one. Don't fucking gamble.
Yeah.
Like I was around a bunch of slot machines recently for the wedding. We played it. There's gambling. There's video poker machines in Portland. They're depressing as hell.
Yeah.
Just the screen showing, Timberwolf, Wild Spirit. Like it's always like Native American appropriation, and then flashing between like a gambler's anonymous hotline while somebody zombie like just hits the button. They're not even pulling a lever. There's not even mechanical fun to be had.
Yeah. I would say stay away from sports gambling too.
Yeah.
Even though we've decided we're getting real moralistic. It just
so many
sucks.
more draft paupers than there are draft kings. It's the whole draft feudalism system relies on there being a lot of draft peasants.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to be a draft peasant than a draft royalty.
Yeah. I don't know. I would say don't start if you can help it. I guess.
If you can help it.
Yeah.
And get help if you need it.
Yeah.